Massive one at Lambeau Field coming up, 3:25 kick on your home for Green Bay Packers football. It's 97.3 The Game, and it's 9 to noon with myself, Billy Schmidt, Armin Sarian here inside the iHeart Megaplex, and John on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line 877-794-1973. John, that's gold package heat right there.
Gold package heat, yes.
Gold package heat. Gold package heat on a big gold package Sunday. Man, I am all juiced up for 50s Day at Lambeau. The throwbacks are on, and it's going to be game on coming up 3:25 because this thing is going to be a banger coming up at the old ballpark on Sunday.
Yeah, first place in the NFC North on the line here. The toughest division in football, division with all four teams winning records.
Come on now.
A real what's going to turn out to be a game with implications really long into the season, right? So whoever gets this has the leg up on the division, the early start on the division. And we got word yesterday that Jordan Love was back at practice and doing practice things.
There we go. How about that?
On the field. So now it's starting to get our hopes up a little bit that Jordan Love can play in this football game. Wow, I'm kind of surprised with how quickly this thing has developed. It goes to show you, the soft tissue injuries, they can heal up pretty quick sometimes. And, again, we get to this. How do you feel about Jordan Love playing in this football game? I heard somebody talk about the line. The difference in a line between Jordan Love and Malik Willis is about 4.5 points.
That's fair. Yep.
If Jordan Love plays in this game, it's probably a pick 'em. If Jordan Love doesn't play in this game, it's probably Lions minus 4.5. And I think that's a pretty accurate depiction of what these two teams have done to this point in time in the season. So I don't know. I don't know if Jordan Love will be able to play. And I don't suspect we'll know if Jordan Love is going to play until 90 minutes before the game on Sunday.
Well, this thing's down to 2.5 now at Potawatomi. So, hey, listen, maybe that line will keep moving. Maybe that'll be some indication that Jordan will be getting better and ready to play. And what's that? What's that in the forecast? I think that's a little bit of rain I see on Sunday.
That sounds more like thunder, but yeah, it's going to be wet. It's going to be damp. It's going to be a heck of a day, and it's going to be, listen, all of it. All of those conditions, you're going to have to play. You're going to have to play through the conditions. You already know that you're going to have to beat a lot more than just the team on the field because the Detroit Lions are coming in as an absolute wagon right now. So you're going to have to play one of your best games. And John, you mentioned it yesterday that Jordan's at practicing through some conditions yesterday. I'd like to see that as well. And see it right now where we hear this. And John, you're like the only guy that can actually give us an understanding as to what it means when we're getting treatment around the clock. Man, this treatment is we got to give it up to the medical staff. There's all sorts of different things that they're trying to do to stimulate, regenerate, whatever you can and cannot do over a week's time for that groin that I can't even imagine how much time he's spending at the facility this week. If all of a sudden 3 days later he was in pads yesterday, at least moving around. We didn't see him do a ton of stuff, but to be out there in pads was some kind of indication that that work they're doing that we always just hear of, getting a lot of treatment, round the clock treatment at the facility. Sure seems like it's happening. Sure seems like it's working, at least for Jordan right there.
The more this week goes, I don't believe he said anything. His language on Wednesday sounded different than what it did before the two previous games that he missed with Malik Willis out. That gave a little hint to the door being truly open to him playing in this football game. Obviously, yesterday, going out on the field and doing the things he was doing on the field yesterday at practice leads you to believe there's a better than just lip service chance that he does play in this football game. And I'm starting to think that he does. I'm starting to think that when Jordan Love says the magnitude of this football game is going to help push him in a direction, I think the Detroit Lions and the fact that they won a division last year, and if you want to win your division and have a home playoff game, they're the team that you're going to have to beat this year. I think that plays a big factor in this. Now, can the Packers go out there with Malik Willis and win? Yes, we all understand that they can. But you have to know, you have to believe, you have to understand that the chance of winning gets much, much greater with Jordan Love at the helm here this weekend, and I think that's going to lead him to playing on Sunday.
A totally different ask of Malik Willis to go and beat this Detroit Lion team than it was to go and beat the Tennessee Titans, right? Or beat the Indianapolis Colts week 2, Lambeau Field, first home game in second game of the season. There's so many different things that so much more about the teams that you're playing now, right? Like it is clear as to who people kind of are at this point in the season. Week 2, you can start tricking people still a little bit. You can use some of that deception. And I know that Armin on the 9 to Noon Reddit page, as well as the NicolaLaw.com talking text line 877-794-1973. There's a lot of people that are big fans of King Willis. There's a lot of people that are saying, what are you talking about?
Plenty of
Willis could absolutely go out here and give the Detroit Lions a ball game. But I'm with John that I'm much more in the camp today that Jordan Love plays than I was on Monday when we had this conversation. When on Tuesday we had this conversation, I'm feeling much more certain that he will be the quarterback. And also, the more that I've thought about it, the more I feel like they do need him to be the quarterback on Sunday for this thing to go way of the home team.
Yeah, I think big plays are going to help win this game. I don't know if they're going to be hard to come by because both teams are going to be in their bag or not, but I think big plays are going to help in this game. And I think Jordan Love's more adept at getting those big plays. Now, I don't know how the weather will affect it. We have a lot remains to be seen. We know what the Packers can do with Malik Willis, and it's great to have that option. It's great to have that backup. But if your best guys can go, you want your best guys to go in any sport, and especially football. That's just the way I feel about it. None of this, we can punt on one game. We can rest on this one and worry about it later and hope to win. This isn't Madden, right? Yeah, like maybe if we're playing Madden, we feel like, listen, I know the plays that's going to win Malik Willis. This isn't Madden. This is real football. So I think you want Jordan Love in there. You hope he can go, and if he's ready to go, you're excited about it. There's no Steve Zabin. Let's just forfeit this one or punt on this one and worry about the bye week later. Because everyone says, you got the bye week. But
Steve, but here's the difference. Steve is the weird thing about this is he's just all caution here. It's like the anti-Steve. It's
all caution, all break.
Just do something completely ridiculous. Punt on the game. And he's not even saying punt this time on the game. He's saying sit Jordan Love. If you sit Jordan Love, you rest him for essentially 3 weeks. If Jordan Love's good enough to practice after 3 days, imagine how good he's going to be after 3 weeks of rest and rehab, Armin Soren. That's what Steve's saying. I just got to warn you. We just said it's a 99% chance of rain. Not 90, not 70. It is a 99% chance of rain. By the way, do you know what the percentages of rain mean here? 99% chance of rain doesn't actually mean it's going to rain 99. There's a 99% chance. It means the viewing area of Green Bay, 99% of it's getting rain during that period of time. 99% of Green Bay is getting wet on Sunday. It's just that's what's going to happen. So do you want Jordan Love out there running around on a rehabbed groin on a wet field? Armin, I just asked you.
Yeah.
What would be your thought if he injures it?
Well, if he re-injures it, of course I'll be upset if he re-injures it. Nobody wants him to get hurt, but I'm not just going to sit him on the shelf worried about him getting hurt. That's no way to approach it, right? You can't just sit there and worry about an injury. If the doctors are cautious, right? If they feel like he's good to go, then he's good to go. I'm not going to sit everybody just in case they get hurt. That's just not the way it is. And now, yes, it's a wet field, but it might slow down the pass rush too. It might keep him in the pocket more.
Which has been very lacking for the Detroit Lions since the Aidan Hutchinson thing went down. John, I also think this is the interesting facet of where we are in 2024 sports compared to like 2004 sports. 2004 sports, we would have looked at this and said, bye week coming up. Push him this week. He'll get a lot of rest.
Blow right through it.
Where now now you could get 3 weeks of rest. You absolutely will be okay. Then we know that if we just take the cautious approach, we are a much different society, and understandably so. We weren't paying the guys $225 million over 4 years at that point in time to play the position. But it is a drastic change into where we are in the sports landscape, where it's let's do the abundance of caution. Right. Whereas come on, he's got a bye week. He's going to get a week off next week. It'll be all good in the neighborhood. I do think that's an interesting change. Yes. Where right now it's all load management all the time to maybe you push it a little bit more because it's a huge game and we get the bye week right on after.
You used to use the heck out of your guys before the bye week. That's what I remember. You used to push all your guys before the bye because they get the week of rest. So I don't know, John. I just think that there's two ways to look at it, but there's only one way to play. And if your best guys are good and healthy to go, then you play them.
Well, it's a huge game coming up on Sunday. We're going to talk a lot more about it with Matt Schneidman coming up in about 15 minutes from 15 minutes from right now. It's a huge game last night for one of the two teams. You want to talk about a team that was banged up? The Houston Texans went into MetLife Stadium last night, John. And the Jets win Tuesdays and Thursdays. 2 of their 3 wins in 2024 come on Thursday Night Football. One against the Patriots, last night against the Texans. We already know they dominate Tuesdays in the news breaking variety. And they saved their season last night with whatever happened to Devontae Adams. I don't know. I don't know if they got the Moorhead secret stuff back there in the Jets locker room. They're all drinking the cayenne pepper to be able to quickly heal up from quick little head injury on the sideline. But that was a game last night, and the Jets, man, they saved that season yesterday. It's a little glimmer of hope right there in NYC.
This is pretty much what we said was going to happen earlier in the week. Remember, there'd be some sort of RELAX, and everybody didn't understand why the spread was, and Vegas was favoring the Jets in this football game. And the offensive line for the Houston Texans, they're beat up. The wide receiving core for the Houston Texans, they're beat up. The defense for the Houston Texans, they're missing so many players. That was half of the Houston Texans taking on the New York Jets last night. And because of that short week at home, Jets were able to get the victory. And now you can see them rolling into a Cardinals, a Colts, a Seahawks at home, a Dolphins, a Jaguars, a Rams. Now Puka Nacua gets re-injured yesterday at practice before they hit the Bills. And then, they have one of the easiest schedules you can put on paper right now, this Jets team does. And now you start saying, yes, they did save their season last night. They got to win some more games here, Billy, but they got a very favorable schedule to be able to do that. And this is almost played out exactly the way that we thought it was going to play out, with Aaron doing the chest bumping and the smiles, and they're high on life again. And there's going to be proclamations made. Like, this was exactly what we thought, minus the guy forgetting to carry the football into the end zone to get our cover on the 21.5 points. What a bonehead.
That, and I'll be honest, I didn't see him having 32 yards in the first half, right? Like, I didn't see 7 of 14 and him looking so bad in the first half. Like, their offense was horrible for 30 minutes. And to be able to come out of the locker room, dude, the whole second quarter, all you heard while Kirk and Al are doing the game, and Al's just salivating, dreaming about that medium rare steak that he's about to eat at halftime with no vegetables sitting there. Sell the team. And then in the third quarter, they're going crazy because Aaron goes and throws a touchdown pass, and it's a tie game, and they got a lead. I mean, that was a quick turn there in MetLife Stadium from that thing was the full disaster to hold on. Fireman Ed back on the Jumbotron, and they're getting a little bit of life there.
Well, and that's the way you feel with this offense. When it's bad, it's really bad, right? It's when it's not good, it is really bad. But when it works and guys are making highlight one-handed catches,
that's hilarious.
And, making people miss, and Aaron's throwing the ball around. Yeah, it looks good. It feels good. I don't know how you feel about one-handed catches, but there's one being compared today to Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never liked the fact that Odell caught a ball one-handed like that. It was a phenomenal catch. It was the only way he could have caught the ball. But then you get people that now try to catch the ball one-handed instead of reaching up with two hands.
Stick them on their hands.
It's taught lazy football as a mechanic, and I don't like it. But it's one of those games where they beat a team with a winning record that everybody assumed was good, but they got them at the right time. We talked about timing all week here. They got the Houston Texans at the right time. Did the Jets save their season? Yes. Is the Jets season saved? I don't necessarily know.
Well, what's tricky about the Jets is, like, last night's a perfect example. It was a tale of two halves. The first half reminds you of all the things that you see about the Jets that would get you thinking negatively, right?
Get you a little excited.
Like they make bonehead errors, bonehead mistakes. They have no semblance of consistency on the offensive line. You know, their defense makes plays, but can't carry them to the, and then the second half starts, you're like, wait, they're making plays. Like Aaron can still hit passes to guys like Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, who both have a lot of talent. Geez, they got really some talented backs. Brees Hall, Conklin does some things like they haven't. Then you think to yourself, you know what? With that offense, you talk yourself into thinking that they can do these things. That's what makes them such an enigma. But when they don't shoot themselves in the foot, when they don't make a colossal boatload of errors, if dude doesn't drop that touchdown, they drop the ball before the end zone, they have the early lead and they're looking good.
The rookie Corley, that's a tough one.
So I'm like, man, these are just classic Jets,
The goal line fumble is now becoming my new favorite play in football. Like it is becoming my new favorite play, other than, which is very similar, John, chase down, pop ball out of ball carrier's arm out the back of the end zone, right? Like it is just chef's kiss to see somebody not finish all the way through into pay dirt. Hey guys, it's why it's the most important part of the game. You got to get into the end zone with the football. I get so upset when all of a sudden the guys will come off the field. Hey, big high school football game tonight. Big high school football
Let's
week
go.
tonight. Players come off. Coach, I was laying on top of me and I was on the goal line. You know what you got to do? You got to stand up in the end zone with the football. Stand up in the end zone with the football. John fights this battle very, very harshly, and I'm glad somebody does. The touchback for a ball fumbled out of the end zone, that needs to stay. All right. I think we need to stay with that rule, because John, frankly, it's the only rule that favors the defense at all in this game anymore in 2024.
Yeah, I don't understand why anybody has beef with it, problem with it. It's the one rule we actually understand.
It is.
It's the one rule that actually is understood and makes sense. A ball fumbled in the field of play, but through the end zone and out of bounds or recovered by the defense is a touchback. Like, what is the problem with it? Get over it. Everybody who's old and wants to change every cool thing about the game of football. Come on.
I don't like it, but it's 9:20 and we don't have time to get into it. But I don't like the rule. I never did. I think it makes no sense. But it
what do you mean?
Does
but it's defense. A rule that you understand. Okay, why have three strikes and 4 balls, Armin? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we roll with it.
Well, that's just the way Abner Doubleday came up with it in 1884.
And that's the way we came up with football. Year. And that's the way some guy came up with football way back when.
Did not expect Abner Doubleday to make an appearance in the first segment of today's Football Friday, but I'm glad he did.
I think he gets the credit for inventing baseball, though a bunch of guys, I think, invented the game. I think it's one of those things that no one knows who really invented it.
So that's okay. 4 balls and 3 strikes.
Some rules of the game have been changed, John. They used to let the ball bounce once for an out in baseball and then catch it for an out. This was like in 1870 or whatever. Like, some rules can change. I'm just making the point. Yeah. I'm not saying everything has to be the way.
They've changed a lot of football rules.
Yeah, and a lot in favor of the offense. Let's keep one in favor of the defense. Let's keep one for the defense.
I'm not opposed with rules favoring the D. I'd like to see that.
I like that you just said, you know what? It's 9:20. Let me do my job.
No, it's
Let me do my job. We need to take a break. We
But-
need to get to Matt Schneidman on the other side, right?
I do
Oh,
wonder.
Basically, it was Armin saying, I'd fight you, but it's 9:20.
Yeah, I don't have time for it.
I don't want to take Schneidman's time.
Like, I'm not afraid to fight you.
Yeah.
But it's 9:20.
We got a lot to ask Matt Schneidman about. A lot. So
Can't wait for that. That comes up on the other side. Matt
He's a
Schneidman of the self-proclaimed loser.
He tweeted it.
Self-proclaimed loser. Matt Schneidman joins 9 to noon right after this on The Game.
What the heck? Man, this is real weak. How is staying perched up on us like that? Billboard, baby, do a leap and make them dance when they come on. Everybody looking for a dance floor to run on.
If you wanna run away with me, I know a galaxy and I can take you for a ride. I had a premonition that we fell into a rhythm where the music don't stop for life.
9 to noon on the air, on your radio, on the YouTube and X stream. Thanks for hanging out with us each and every day. I'm Billy Schmidt alongside our two-time Super Bowl champion, John Kuhn, and Armin Sarian hanging out with us. And now on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line joining us is our guy, Matt Schneidman, star of the Matt Schneidman Show, also starring at Matt Schneidman on Instagram and X, where you follow his coverage of the Green Bay Packers. You read all of it at The Athletic and listen to it statewide right here on the Game network of stations. Matt, appreciate it, man. Huge one coming up on Sunday, 3:25 kick. I already know that it was a big day last night, so got to get right to it. You were pumped up last night. You were pumped up on the football feast about your assortment of trick-or-treat candy and your welcome to the neighborhood as the new cool single guy at the end of the block. You want to make sure that everyone knows you come in peace. You're nice. You had full-size candy bars. I don't think people are understanding the game that you brought to Trick or Treat last night. So how did it go? Were you impressed with the turnout there yesterday?
Yeah, I would have liked to be able to hand out the candy in person, answer the door, but I was on with you guys, and that was during kind of the prime Trick or Treat hours. You know, I got back to my house around 5 p.m., a little later. From Lambeau, and my street was already buzzing with people. So I then had to finish a story, then hop on with you guys. So I wasn't really able to, hand out candy. And then kids were only trick-or-treating when it was light out, and it got dark pretty early. So I went out and checked after I got off the football field. And both of those trays with the Reese's Big Cups, the Hershey bars, and all the Kit Kats were totally gone. A bunch of the Crunches, Butterfingers, Almond Joys were gone.
Good one.
All the Twixes were gone. Not one York peppermint patty was touched.
Which I find,
so I have 2 full bowls. Yeah. I have 2 full bowls of those.
Which I find totally disrespectful that these kids don't understand how great York mints are, York patties are. But let me just say this: I understand if a child's gonna walk up and see a king size Kit Kat, a full size Hershey's with almonds. Almonds aren't cheap, by the way, and Reese's Big Cup. They're gonna take those first just because there's more volume in it. You understand that, but I'll be honest with you. You're giving me an option of a York Mint or a Crunch. There's no question I'm taking the York Mint, but more for you, Matt.
You're drunk.
Right? Crunch bars. No, Crunch bar.
That's the dumbest thing you've ever said on the radio.
Well, that's saying something.
You would take York.
That's pretty up there.
You would take a York patty over a full-size Crunch
First
bar.
of all, can we say it the right way? It's a York peppermint patty, damn it.
They
started in York, Pennsylvania.
They started in York,
yes, and they're not that great. They're not that great.
Well, they're great.
They're fine. They're fine. They're
there.
candy.
They're very much
the
there.
worst of the candy. Well, they're not the worst. They got worse. But they're the low hanging fruit of the candy, Armin.
Crunch has like rice in it. Nobody wants Crunch. That's the Joe
Snap,
Alexander.
Crackle, Pop, baby.
Come on, like that's the Ladarius Gunter of candy. Like Crunch is like that.
Wow,
that's disrespectful.
Jeez.
I mean,
Ladarius just having a cup of coffee today.
Right? He made a couple plays, but mostly it wasn't happening. Like, listen. York peppermint. If you don't like chocolate and mint, fine. I understand. You just don't like that combination. But if you do, it's the soft texture of the York peppermint. And you're not getting junior mints in a mini, so this is your one option for mint and chocolate. I'm sorry. I'm going to stand on this, but man, I just believe in this. It's tough for me, but I don't understand the.
You're making this up. You're making this up. Can we promise? I thought we made a promise when we started this radio show. You guys did this a lot longer than I, John. That we weren't going to be fake, right? That we weren't just going to come out here and just make stuff up.
No, he's just pushing buttons right now. He's a button pusher. Armin's a button pusher.
There's no way you actually believe that.
I love York mints, York peppermint patties. Overall, though, nice arrangement of
great work,
pumpkins and assorted gourds.
Yeah, we were proud of you. We're proud of you.
Yeah,
Matt. Let's talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's talk Packers.
Okay, because Matt also knows. Matt also knows that your candy takes are horrendous, so we need to get onto this football game.
No one wants
yesterday, you said you were a little bit later coming back from Lambeau Field. Big news at Lambeau Field and on the practice field was that Jordan Love was on the practice field in pads for the little bit that you guys were able to be out there. Did it seem like a normal run for Jordan? And I know he's now Mr. Limited once again, but to be able to see him in pads seems like a very, very, very positive step here on a Thursday.
Yeah, I think so. And, that made me think that he's going to play. We obviously still don't know. Leading up to that Titans game, he practiced in a limited capacity each day that week and still didn't play. That was obviously different because he was coming back from an MCL sprain, which is more severe than a groin strain. It was, pouring rain when we were watching practice yesterday. So we weren't able to glean much about, how Jordan Love was moving. He was jogging though, and, he was jogging at a decent speed. So, the big question, as Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love have said this week, is can he protect himself? And to both of them, that means can he avoid contact? Can he get himself out of harm's way, is the way Matt LaFleur put it yesterday. So they'll take this one right up until kickoff. I think they probably already have a good idea. They're going to still keep the, charade of, I don't know if charade's the right word, but, try and make everyone think that Malik Willis has a chance. They're going to keep saying Jordan's limited and he's going to be questionable, I guarantee, when the injury report comes out later today. So do I think he plays? Gun to my head, yes, just because 2 days of practice is a good sign coming off a groin strain. But we'll see come, what time would it be? 2:55 on Sunday? No, 1:55.
There you go. Now you got it, boy. I do think that Jordan Love is going to play in this game. I do. But if he doesn't, let's just say they err on the side of caution. How realistic is it that the Packers can get this done with Malik Willis?
How realistic is it against this team? Probably less realistic than it was against the Colts, Titans, and Jaguars. But I still think it's possible. Matt LaFleur has proven capable of designing a game plan around Malik Willis to still move the ball up and down the field. It would be very difficult. The Lions defense is good against the run. They're good against the pass. And not only that, you're going to need to score maybe 30 points to stay in this game. I think this is going to have to be a shootout if the Packers are going to win, just because of what the Lions are capable of on the offensive side of the ball. So Malik Willis is probably going to have to throw the ball, a lot more than he has. He didn't throw it more than 19 times in either of his first two starts. And obviously coming in third quarter, he threw it 5 times on Sunday against the Jaguars. So I would imagine he's going to have to air it out a bunch more against the Lions if he plays on Sunday, especially because of how good they are against the run. So they're probably not going to be able to just pound the rock with Josh Jacobs all day. But that's a big if. I still think Jordan Love plays.
Well, and for the Packers to be able to somewhat utilize the same offense, and I know that's been a massive talker for us. I imagine it's something that you have touched on your show and had a lot of callers and texters hit on as well. From NFL Pro, the Packers offense has used motion on 77.3% of their snaps and condensed formations on 50+% of their snaps this season, both of which are the single highest in a year under Matt LaFleur since he took over in 2019. I would assume a lot of that window dressing, Matt, can continue and will continue if Jordan Love plays or without Jordan Love. I know many people have wondered if that kind of similar offense would be run with Jordan back there, but I would assume it kind of has to be because he's not going to be able to move. You need a lot more deception to probably throw off this Detroit defense.
Right, and you hit the nail on the head right there, Billy. I think if Jordan Love can't create as much with his feet outside the pocket, like you said, you're going to need to, test the Lions defense horizontally and keep them guessing. And that's one of the bonuses of having Malik Willis is not that Jordan Love isn't capable of doing that, but Malik Willis, is more, I think, willing or even able to create plays out of nowhere with his feet. Jordan Love's a much better pocket passer. Mm-hmm. He can create if need be, but that's just not what he does. So if it is Jordan Love, I think they're going to have to, like you said, use that motion, some of these orbit motions, some of these, reverses, maybe get in their Dan Campbell bag to try and throw the Lions off a little bit, because I don't know if you can just beat this team just being a pocket passer, standing in the pocket. Even though they don't have Aiden Hutchinson, one thing Adam Stenovich said yesterday is they're still getting pretty consistent pressure, and they're blitzing a lot without Hutchinson to kind of make up as a team for what they lose in him as an individual.
Matt, how might this weather have an effect on this football game? Jared Goff's first game outside of a dome this season, not necessarily, and not a shocker, as good outside as he is inside. So how much will the weather come into play in this game?
I don't think a ton. It might mean more running the ball, but the last two times Jared Goff has played at Lambeau, and I understand it hasn't been rainy, but I'm just talking about the outside aspect of it. They beat the Packers in the 22 finale to knock these guys out of playoff contention, and then they whooped up on them last year in week 4 here. So he's able to do it. He's more than capable of doing it. I don't think, the playing outside aspect matters, but if it's pouring rain like it was yesterday at practice, and it might be during parts of the game or all of it on Sunday, then I think that affects both quarterbacks. I was watching not wet ball drills, but they were doing just routes on air pretty much and handoffs in the pouring rain yesterday. And Sean Clifford just handed one off to Ellis Merriweather, and it just completely, dropped it. I know neither of those two guys will be on the field, but ball security is heightened. John, when you played in the rain, what were your P's and Q's to make sure the ball stayed in your hands and not on the turf?
Oh, it's easy. You keep your hands or keep your eyes on the football. You keep 4 points of contact. But I will tell you, in my years of playing and witnessing it firsthand, I always felt like the Packers had an advantage with a quarterback like Brett Favre or like Aaron Rodgers or like Jordan Love, because big hands do matter in football. They really do.
Size does matter.
And I definitely, no doubt in my mind, could see a difference with quarterbacks that would come play at Lambeau Field, win or loss, regardless, how they were able to throw the football. So I definitely saw a difference in Jared Goff's ability to throw the football outside versus inside. So I think it will have a factor. Will it matter in the outcome of the game? Probably not.
Just a little on top of the Goff Outdoors stat. His completion percentage indoors, right around 68.9, 68.6. In his career outside in 66 games, 62.3. His touchdown interception ratio goes from 3.07 indoors to 1.86, and he's fumbled 46 times in those games. Lost 20 of those.
Well, let's hope
in games
I
played
know,
outdoors.
And because I know Matt loves stats, he's going for 6 straight games with multiple passing touchdowns and 70% completion percentage, which has only been done one time by a man named Aaron Rodgers.
So he's due for a bad game, is what we're all saying? Is that what we're all kind of feeling here?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm starting to lean that way.
Starting to feel that way. Matt, hope you're feeling good. Hope you're feeling great. And we will be talking to you and seeing you on Sunday, talking to you on Monday right here on 9 to noon. All right?
Yes, sir. See you guys Sunday.
That is Matt Schneidman of the Matt Schneidman Show, star of the Matt Schneidman Show, even though he's off, right?
Yeah.
Doug Russell's my favorite one. Listen, I love the love muscle. I'm sorry. I love Doug Russell. I apologize.
Yeah. You can have a Crunch Bar, but the York is the better one. I get your point. Hey, by the way, I think Jared Goff's a guy that would like Crunch Bars. Don't you guys think?
Listen, but here's the deal. The
That's
Crunch
married
Bar,
to an SI swimsuit model, and you're acting like he's a loser over here.
the
I didn't
Crunch
say that.
Bar
I
is
really
exactly in the middle of the candy bar meter.
Yeah.
Entire
It's
hierarchies.
the Crunch
right
Bar
in
is
the middle.
exactly in the middle.
Super solid.
What's
The York
equilibrium?
peppermint patty has to be on the bottom half. That's
Yes.
all I'm saying. It's still good. It's a candy bar. We're still talking candy bars here. Even the worst candy bar is good. It's on the bottom half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's above Heath though. I'll
No,
give you
it's
that.
not.
I can't stand talking.
No, it's not.
Oh, you can. I'll give
Zach
you all my
Wilson,
Is he
the York peppermint patty of quarterbacks.
Stop. No.
Jimmy Garoppolo comes in at like Heath.
York's had like a 90-year career. Zach Wilson ain't lasting that long in this league. Okay, I'm just saying.
A 90-year career of being irrelevant isn't a good one.
No, come on. Don't disrespect York.
877-794-1973. York PA is fantastic.
That's where it was
Their
invented.
peppermint patties suck. Sorry. 877-794-1973. That's John
They're
Kennedy.
good. They're not as good.
This
as
is
the
not
other
good.
candy
You say
bars.
they suck.
Yeah, it's
John
not that
says.
good.
John says they're mid. I say
Yes.
put them in vanilla ice cream. And
No,
then
I'm
what?
saying
No,
any
no,
candy
no.
bar is good.
Correct.
Any candy bar,
This
any one. But
Yep.
it's just the bottom half of a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm with John. They're great. Yeah. Zach Wilson, very good quarterback when you compare him to high school quarterbacks. Like, listen, you compare candy to vegetables, very good. York peppermint patties
Fair
up against
enough.
Brussels sprouts. They're going to dominate that one. 877-794-1973.
You know the man who doesn't say what he means by this, but he says Armin is the York peppermint patty of this radio station.
Oh, I'm good. Classic,
Oh,
dependable.
Sure.
A winner.
Yeah, that's
Dependable.
what that means. That's what that means.
Consistent.
That's what he's telling. You keep telling yourself that. That's Harmon Sorry and John
Fresh.
Coons right there. I'm Billy Schmidt. It's 9 to noon on the game.
Exciting.
Fresh.
Watch me dance.
Hey guys, Billy Schmidt. Underdog Fantasy is the place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. Their pick'em game is my favorite way to play. You can play NFL, NBA, a mix between the two, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money in a single night by simply choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats. Every dog deserves a second chance, and with Underdog's rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo even if an early injury causes your entry to lose, whether it's first quarter, first half, full game projections. Even if you miss kickoff, tip-off, you can also get in-game picks on Underdog Fantasy. This season, Underdog will be running a special promo bonus almost every single day, like profit boosts that pump up your winnings in just a tap when you apply the boost to eligible entries. Discounts, you'll get adjusted projections on certain player stats to give you a better shot at a big W, and free picks, they're basically a sure thing. A player just needs to get higher than a half a point of a stat for that pick to win, plus all new users get a free pick. So download the app today. Sign up with promo code Billy, Billy, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code Billy. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
going down. I'm yelling timber. You better move. You better dance. Let's make a night you won't remember. I'll be the one you won't forget.
9 to noon on the game. Let it go, Armin. That's Leo and MKE on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line.
A lot of clowns on the text line today.
Let it go, Armin.
You're calling the Nooners clowns? That's not a good look for you. You try this from time
Pretty
to
on
time.
brand,
and
though.
There are
yeah.
good clowns. There are good clowns out there. There's Bozo the Clown. There's AJ Hawk dressed as a clown for Halloween. Right?
Yeah, the clown that he dressed as, not a good clown.
Oh, was it the Joker or something like that?
No, the clown that he dressed as is the one that potentially was from Waterloo, Iowa. That, there was a couple of documentaries about.
Oh, I don't want to be that part of that clown. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Was that like a viral? I don't even know. Man, it's weird stuff going on out there. Yes, I like York Mints. I'm sorry, it's not fake. My dad would get York Mints. My dad loved Junior Mints and York Mints. He would always get up in the store and that chocolate mint combination. I like mint chip ice cream too. Is that crazy for you guys out there that I like mint chip ice cream?
I like
Now,
mint chip
that's
ice
a
cream.
Guys
different
call
ballgame.
me-
That's
guys-
a different ballgame. That's a different ballgame.
It's just people call me a fake and a plant and a shtick and all this stuff. No. If you met me on the street and gave me a York peppermint patty, I would eat it. I'm not fake because I like York peppermint patties. All right.
I just don't
Sorry,
think
okay.
you can actually like him that much. Or you can be like Jake and Waukesha. Billy is the crunch bar of this program.
Whoa.
Hard like chocolate on the outside, but soft like rice on the inside. I
Rice
got your
isn't-
back, Armin.
Rice isn't soft. It crunches. Rice isn't soft. What? That caramel.
This guy's rooting for you, Armin, and you're fighting
he's
with him.
helping
He's
you.
I
getting your
appreciate it.
back.
I appreciate it, but I
I
just
said,
don't
Armin,
think-
don't tolerate Billy and Coon's crap today. Crunch bars? Really? That's blasphemy.
Absolutely. I think it is kind of. To be honest with you, there's a lot of candy bars I'd pick before
That's
Crunch
awesome.
Bar. And I'd be honest with you, Butterfinger's one of them. I think Butterfinger's delicious, even though it gets stuck in your teeth and everything like that.
Yeah, Butterfinger is good.
Whatever happened to
Butterfinger's
Caramello,
awesome.
by the way? Anybody out there got Caramello
I don't know,
bars?
but it's good.
They
Like,
still rock.
yeah.
Love
yeah.
Caramello.
I saw Rolos in the break room the other day, John.
Rolos.
I can't tell you the last time I
How
had
did you-
Rolos, but they're
real
so
quick,
good.
How did
Fantastic.
you eat your caramello though?
Oh,
How
you
did you eat it?
just like
Did
the
you-
commercial.
no, but did you eat it individual squares, or did you crack the squares in half and eat them so that
Yeah.
the caramel would stretch really far?
You had to do
There,
that.
this is a big debate.
Yeah.
This is a big candy debate that I've had with many people. How do you eat your caramellos? Do you eat one thing at a time, or do you actually bite right down the middle of it?
When you're a kid, you had to break the square to make the caramel stretch out, just like the commercial, because that was the fun of it. Just like eating a mozzarella stick and letting that cheese stretch. That was the fun of it. As an adult, I don't want to make a mess. I probably just snap each
Oh,
square.
so you grew out of having fun.
grew out of having fun, I guess, maybe in
Yeah,
that
it's-
sense.
He's kind of rude these days too.
Yeah, I'll go right, John. I'm gonna fence sit right on this one. I'm gonna do a little bit of both. Right, I'm gonna have one, probably the full little square, one of which I'm gonna have to crack open just to eat
Just
it,
to
see
be-
it,
just
just
to
to
fun.
see it, just have fun.
Carson would love that. He's like, look at that, that's crazy. Like, you do it to entertain. You know?
Yeah, but the problem would be then he's like, more. Let's get more of those Carmelos over here. Let's get more of those Rolos or more. What are we doing here? Come on, quit holding out on all that good stuff.
Let me put one more in your brains before we go to break. When's the last time you thought of a payday bar? That's a
Never.
good candy bar. Exactly. It's all peanuts and caramel. It's all peanuts. That's a lot of protein. It's not that bad. No chocolate. Isn't that crazy? They said we're not doing any chocolate.
Peanuts in a candy bar. That crown goes to Baby Ruth.
Yes.
All right. Baby Ruth's
Yep.
a good one. Yeah.
Yep. No arguments here. I love our candy debates. It is
It's-
always fun. And it is
intense.
always fun when Armin is just so clearly wrong with something. Like just thinking
I
that
got,
these
I got
York
some
peppermint
supporters.
patties are fantastic. 1-877-793-1973. David, nice shtick. Nobody believes it, guy.
Yeah.
Kids won't even take your York. Stop that fake stuff. Guess what? The kids there in Match Diamond's neighborhood, welcome Match Diamond to the neighborhood. You know who we welcome in next? Our favorite Lion and Green Bay Packers Super Bowl champion, TJ Lang, sideline reporter for the Lions Radio Network. Former Packer, former Lion, joins us right after the break on 9 to noon. Hour 2 kicks off with TJ right after this on the game.
She said she'd never turn on me. Your lie. I only talk to God when I need a favor, and I only pray when I ain't got a prayer.
Welcome back. It's 9 to noon on the game. It's Lions Week. We welcome on our favorite Lion coming up here momentarily. I'm Billy Schmidt, Armin Sarian here, and John Kuhn, our two-time Super Bowl champion with all of you. Hour 2 of 9 to noon is brought to you by Happy Place Hemp and HappyPlaceHemp.com. Use promo code Billy to get 25% off your entire order every time at HappyPlaceHemp.com, whether it's their Delta 8, Delta 9 recreational gummies or their CBN, CBD, Sleepy Time gummies, new Drift seltzers. They're all available. They have something for everybody at HappyPlaceHemp.com. Rob and Chris can answer all your questions over in Muskego. If you go meet up with them at their storefront off College Avenue or HappyPlaceHemp.com. Promo code Billy for the discount.
And our next guest on the Talk and Text line needs no further introduction. My friend of the program, TJ Lang. TJ, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you. We'll be seeing you this weekend. You got some rain gear to bring to the game?
Yeah, it sounds like it. First off, I like the walk-up song, man. John, that's kind of our MO. You only talk to me when you need a favor. So thanks for the.
Okay.
Wow.
You know what? Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. Okay, please continue.
At least you're not taking
All
these
right,
only on Twitter.
But, dude, I don't know how the weather's been up there. Like, it was in the mid-70s here all week. This morning it's like 40 and wet. So it looks like fall is finally here for us, and looking at the radar, looking like it's going to be probably the same there in Green Bay on Sunday, right, John? 50s, a little bit of rain. That's football weather, man, especially for the big boys. That's what you want to play in.
That is football weather, and that is football weather for the big boys. You do have some big boys, but I want to ask you, when we talk about Jared Goff and playing inside versus playing outside, I do think there is something to it when it comes to what Jared Goff has done in the past and where Jared Goff would prefer to play these football games. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about just Jared Goff specifically. How will the weather affect him?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. You look at, his career, he's definitely been a better quarterback in controlled environment on turf, inside without dealing with the weather. So I don't know how it's going to change, because you look at Jared Goff this year and he's seeming to break through so many barriers that he's had labeled on him, throughout his career.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not good against the blitz. And then all of a sudden this year, he's like one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz. Oh, he can't move in the pocket. This year you see him little subtle step-ups and sliding out of the pocket. And I don't know if you watched the Minnesota game, but some of those plays, he's got free runners and he's able to scramble his way out of there. So I think maybe this whole outdoor, with the weather, cold weather, might be just another barrier that Jared Goff is going to have to try to get over this week, because that has been a label on him that, you get a little bit of rain, you get a little bit of sorry, I got to hang up on somebody else here.
There you go. Get rid
a
of
little bit of rain. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been great in those situations. So, but we'll see, because this does seem like this season, it seems like Jared Goff is just finding a way to get better, man. And he's the engine that's been driving this offense so far through 7 games.
TJ, you've played with a couple of the best of this generation in Aaron and Matthew. And then to see how Jared the whole team has kind of taken to him. You're from the Michigan area. I didn't really think the Lions had a chant. Now they have Jared Goff. So Lions fans just chant Jared Goff whenever they want. For him to just take full almost ownership of the organization at that spot. How have you seen him mature into that role from when he came here in what felt like a cast-off situation to now he's like the crown jewel of Detroit Lions fans?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's been a big part of it, no doubt, right? We all remember his exit from L.A., and that was ugly. And I think even Sean McVay has said since then that he kind of regrets the way that he handled that, because Jared Goff was a good player for them. He took them to a Super Bowl. I know they didn't win, but he won a lot of games for them. And him to get cast off like that just for a new shinier toy, I mean, you take that personal, right? And I think that a lot of players – you go through some guys it's maybe early in the career, some guys it might be later in the career, where you got to figure it out. You know what I mean? You're looking at this saying, man, if I don't turn it around, this could go downhill in a flash, right? I could be out of a job in a year. So I gotta look in the mirror. I got to figure out ways that I got to get better and improve myself again. And I had that as a young player, and I had it again as an old player. And you take that personally. And I think Jared Goff at the time was he seemed like the best fit for what Dan Campbell and what Brad Holmes were trying to build here. Like, they wanted guys with an underdog story. They wanted guys with a chip on their shoulder. They wanted guys that could handle going through the dark days, right, of the first year where you're 3-13-1. You see a lot of character. You see who's the guys that are going to go to battle with you, who you can rely on, who you can trust. And I think that that was by design with some of the players that they brought in on this team early in those years to see how they were going to rebound. And Jared Goff has, ever since that moment, man, he has just bounced back. He's a fighter. There's other guys in the league too. I mean, you could look like Baker Mayfield went from a guy who was, super high. Everybody's, celebrating him. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden he crashes and goes to a couple different teams. And now look at him, right? Like, I think people love those underdog stories and watching guys able to rebound. And I think that Jared Goff, his demeanor, his toughness, mental and physical, has set an example for what the Lions are trying to be and the foundation that they've been able to build over the past 3 years now.
I also think part of it had to do with the fact that it wasn't just a 1-for-1. It wasn't just Stafford for Goff. It was Goff and some first-round picks. Like, what?
Right.
What? You're going to trade me with you're going to trade first-round picks to change me for him. That is a hard pill to swallow. But there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that has changed up there in Detroit. And I mean, me and you, we've talked about it before. Either the last Lions game, I think last year, or maybe it was the last game before you guys came here, about how everything has changed there between the Ford family, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, even Goff. Like, everything has changed to the fact where it doesn't feel like the Lions that we played against when we were Packers, TJ, or even the Lions that you played for after you left the Packers. This whole organization does things differently, doesn't it?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think with Sheila Ham taking over the ownership, she really just lets the football guys do their job. You know what I mean? Like, we all know that there's instances around the league where the owners can't help themselves but to interject in every single decision or every single conversation. I mean, Jerry Jones can't keep his mouth shut after a win or loss. I can't imagine how difficult that must be to work in a situation like that, because you hire football people to make football decisions. You know what I mean? And you trust them. And I think that Sheila, from day one, did that with Brad Holmes. She did it with Dan Campbell. She basically said, guys, this is your team. I'm going to give you every resource possible to be successful. Go out there and turn this thing around. We trust in you guys. We hired you guys for a reason. And she has given them that freedom to really go do what they want and the vision that they set when they came in day one. Now, it also has a lot to say about Dan Campbell and the type of guy that he is and how he kind of still has that underdog fighter mentality that, the people of Detroit love. The people of Detroit kind of hang their hat on, man, we've been through some dark times. Like, we know how to crawl our way out of a dark hole sometimes. And Dan Campbell exemplifies that. But John, it's also about the players too, man. You know what I mean? Like, they could have, when they first started this thing 3 years ago, they could have, kind of shortcut it. They could have taken the cheat sheet and said, let's just go sign a bunch of free agents and bring in a bunch of hodgepodge guys that might be talented, but, we might not build a great team, but we're going to have some talent around us that's going to be fun. They didn't do that. They went in, they drafted an offensive lineman with the first pick. You know what I mean? They took Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round. They identified guys that were going to have a chip on their shoulder, that they had to build a foundation that way. And I think that, and like I said, they took their lumps. They knew they were going to take their lumps, but I think that they knew as long as they built a sturdy, rock-solid foundation, that now we can start seeing the fruits of our labor. Now we can start taking some chances on maybe going to get some outside guys, because we've got the guys in this locker room right now that will help them along with the culture that we have built and the foundation that we have and the characteristics of this team and what it represents to the city of Detroit. But you're right, man. It feels completely different. And even times I have to, still being around this team, I have to kind of pinch myself and be like, man, okay, like, when is it going to go bad? Because it always seems like at some point it goes bad. But you're right, man. From the top to the bottom, it is just a completely different feel around that organization. And obviously, I think that's shown throughout the first 7 games this year.
Man, and I give Brad Holmes all kinds of credit because from literally day one came in, new GM, trades away the face of the team for Jared Goff, all these picks, and it's really just changed everything around there. And it's really that to me is where they started building that stable bed, like you said, TJ. And then Dan Campbell came in and gave it a heartbeat, gave it a life, gave it some blood. Dan Campbell, to me, when I listened to him talk after the NFC Championship game last year in his press conference, said the hardest part is I had to tell the men we aren't guaranteed to get back here again next year. I feel like from an outsider, I have no intel on this, but I feel like from the outside, as I saw that moment at that press conference, he was sending a message to his team. We need to start now, and our target needs to be set on surpassing where we went last season. I feel like they are a team on a mission. Would you agree?
Yeah, so far. Yeah, I mean, we all know that this is the time of year where, the gaps start to close a little bit in the NFL. But, yeah, certainly, I think throughout the first 8 weeks of the season, I do feel like there is a gap, but how they have been playing compared to some other NFC teams. Now, I think what makes this game so much fun is I really do feel like these two teams, Green Bay, Detroit, are the top two dogs in the NFC right now.
I
just
agree.
The way that they're playing. I think there's a gap between them and a lot of other teams. I know Philly's starting to make a little bit of a comeback, but this is the time of year where that gap starts to close, right? But, yeah, I'm with you. And their motto, John, has been, it takes more, right? That's all they've been talking about this year is it takes more. We got the taste of a little bit of success last year. I think that, when you look at the trajectory of teams, they probably skipped a couple lines when they went straight to the NFC Championship game. Normally it's like, okay, let's just make the playoffs. And then the next year, okay, now we got to battle for the division. And then the next year, okay, now we got to battle for, the conference, right? They just kind of skipped all those steps, said, okay, we're in the playoffs, we won the division, and we're competing for the NFC title. But they needed that experience, I think. Last year they had a lot of young guys that didn't have really any playoff experience outside of Jared Goff and maybe a couple guys on defense. This year's different. They know what that feels like. And that's what I think gives Lions fans so much hope is that we talk about the characters and the guys in the locker room and the leadership and your bedrock guys, your foundation guys. Like those are the guys that you want to lean on when it comes December and when it comes January, because now they have that experience of what it's going to take to be even better than they were last year. Now, it's not going to be easy because we know they're the dog now. They're the big dog, right? Mm-hmm. At least in the division. And we went through that every year in Green Bay, John, when we played. We knew teams were going to give us their best shot. I think the Lions are starting to figure that out now. And I'm just so interested in how this game's going to go Sunday because, like I said, and I think it sounded like you agree with me. I think that whoever represents the NFC, at least at this point of the season, now we know there's a lot of football left, but so far from what I've seen, I wouldn't be surprised if whoever's representing the NFC come February is going to come from this division. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Minnesota's playing good. Green Bay's playing good. Detroit has been one of the best teams. If they keep playing the way they're playing, man, these battles are going to be so fun. And I think that there's going to be a lot on the line come the end of the year when it comes down to this NFC North.
Super Bowl champion TJ Lang joining us here on 9 to noon. He'll be on the sidelines on the Honolulu Blue side coming up 3:25 kick. You'll be listening to it right here on your home for Packers football 97.3 The Game. TJ, there's been a lot made and a lot of discussion, rightfully so. He was early odds-on favorite to win the Defensive Player of the Year. When Aiden goes down, there's going to be an emotional bump. Everybody else knowing they got to do a little bit more, but there's so many injuries on that entire defensive line, especially the edge rusher spot. How have they been able to maneuver that so far without Hutchinson? And does it feel like a move does have to be made for them to get some reinforcements there?
Yeah, I would say, the first game that they were missing him, Minnesota, I thought maybe you would have a little bit of an advantage because now you got to start throwing out some unscouted looks. You know what I mean? Aaron Glenn can't just rush forward and play man coverage like he did the first 5 games because Aiden Hutchinson was harassing the quarterback almost on every single snap. So I think their defense had a little bit of an advantage because they were going to have to do some exotic things that Minnesota hadn't seen them do yet this year. Now that obviously worked, but then last week you get that Tennessee game and look, I know the scoreboard was completely, flip-flopped. I mean, special teams, defense, it just that game, Tennessee they just had a bad football game, right? But you can't just walk out of there after a 52-14 win and say, man, everything's great. We just won by 40 points. We're feeling good. No, but their edge rusher was a big problem last week. I mean, there were times where I think they only had 1 sack on Mason Rudolph, and it was on a blown assignment where the linebacker just came free. Outside of that, there was not a lot of pressure, man. There just wasn't. And I think that they've got probably 4 or 5 guys that they're just kind of waiting to see if any of these guys can step up before they decide to make a move. But I would tell you, I mean, I would say they need to make a move. They have to. I mean, with the amount of talent that they have on this roster, and like we talked about, maybe the little bit of a gap that they have created in this conference, other teams are going to start making moves. You know what I mean? San Francisco has made a move almost every trade deadline, it seems like, right? Chicago made a move last year to go get Montez Sweat. Green Bay, I know Goody talks about being in every single conversation. So if you're sitting here and you're in the Lions' shoes, you say, if we don't make a move, we're allowing other teams to close the gap on us, right? So I think that's clearly their biggest weakness right now is when it comes to just rushing 4 guys. Trying to find some pressure from the outside just hasn't been working. And I don't think Aaron Glenn wants to be an exotic defense. I don't think he wants to pressure, 60% of the times like he's had to do the last couple of weeks, because that makes it incredibly difficult on your secondary. And they have gotten better there, but that's just not the way he wants to call games. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, I guess, in the next, 4 days till the trade deadline. But if the Lions stand pat, that's just going to give other teams, not only in the division, but in the entire NFC, a chance to close the gap on what they've done so far throughout the first 8 weeks.
Tage, my last thing for you is making a move is especially critical and important because this is going to be a staff that players are going to start getting, or coaches are going to start getting plucked from, right? Ben Johnson is going to get a lot of targets put on him this year as this offense continues to run the ball very well and Jared Goff continues to pass the ball very well. I mean, you gotta feel that Ben Johnson's days as an offensive coordinator are going to be numbered because he's going to be a head coach soon.
Yeah, I mean, we've thought that for the last 2 years, to be honest with you, and really this past year was kind of like, man, that was a bummer that they lost the NFC Championship game because no way Ben Johnson's not getting a head coaching job. And I think he would have had some offers. It sounded like Washington, I think, was going after him pretty hard, but he made up his mind and said, you know what, man, I feel like I have unfinished business here and I want to kind of see this thing through. But you're right. I mean, you put that into perspective. You combine that with the fact that, you're going to have some free agents. Your team's going to be different year to year. You look at what you're doing right now and say, man, like you're not guaranteed to go win a Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl if you make a trade, but it allows you to at least maybe keep that gap that you've created, right? So, and Brad Holmes, that hasn't been his MO so far throughout his 4 years here. Last year, I think he traded, for Donovan Peoples-Jones, which really didn't make a difference at all on this football team. So I don't really know what to expect from them to do. But what I do know is they haven't been in this position before. They haven't been in this position where maybe they are the favorites to come out of the NFC. You know what I mean? They haven't been in this position where I think the Super Bowl and winning this conference is a legitimate goal and it's attainable for them. So, and Brad Holmes also, he came from LA, right? I mean, LA was a team that was kind of the first to say, all right, we're going to trade a lot of these picks. Tampa did it too, but we're going to trade a lot of picks. We're just going to go get some guys and load up for 1 year and hopefully it works out. Now it worked out for both those teams, but they kind of, they've taken their lumps afterwards a little bit, right? So you have to be careful. That's always been the conversation, John. And even when we were players was, man, like, I don't care about draft picks. I don't care about, the second round pick next year. I care about this year. I care about what we have in this locker room feels special. Maybe we're missing one piece. Man, like, let's just go make a move and let's try to go all in. You know what? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least we went down swinging, and at least we went down doing everything we could to try to make it possible, right? So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, talking to some Green Bay people, kind of seems like the narrative up there too is maybe the same thing. I don't think a lot of people think that their 4-man pass rush has been doing great. And looking at the stats, Preston Smith and Gary, I think they've got 2 sacks each, probably a little lower than what you wanted. But if you're Detroit, even if you're Green Bay, you're saying, man, if we don't go get one of these edge rushers, maybe the other team does, and maybe we're really going to end up regretting that, right? So, man, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's really funny. You look at the AFC and everybody's chasing a wide receiver. The wide receiver carousel is going on in the AFC as we speak. And in the NFC, there's a lot of speculation about edge rushers, both with the Packers, with the Lions. I see a lot of similarities in these two teams, TJ. I really do. The Packers had a lot of question marks last year. The Lions felt like they knew what their team was, but they had a question mark. Could they actually make it come to fruition? Both these teams do it last year. Both these teams probably skip a step last year and get further last year. And now both these teams seem to continue being ahead of the curve this year. But I found something funny there. When we were playing, I never thought for a second we need to go get somebody. I never thought for a second trade deadline's coming up. Something's going to happen. We're going to make a move. I was too damn busy trying not to get cut. Do you mean to tell me you used to think while we were playing football and practicing and sitting in meetings, you and Sitton would be sitting over there in the locker room like, gosh, wouldn't it be great if we traded for Marshawn Lynch right now? Did you guys really do that?
That would have been awesome.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, there was a year where, I think it was maybe 2015 where Eddie Lacy was hurt and I think James Starks was hurt. We literally didn't have any running backs. And we were 15 that year. And well, John, you were a fullback.
You want to know why I don't call you? You want to know why you haven't heard from me in some time? Maybe this is why.
Oh, so happy. I love that.
You set me up for that. But no, I remember sitting there having a thought like, man, like, yeah, we could go get a running back, like somebody to help out, pick up the slack, what Eddie and James brought to the speed back there. John, I know you were the bruising type, but and they ended up, I think that was the year they turned Ty Montgomery into a running back from receiver, right?
Yeah.
So, and look, that's not throwing shade at your teammates, but that's just the thought of, man, we got a hole here. We've got maybe a little bit of a weakness. Like, yeah, let's go out there and do it. And you know what? Aaron, I think, was that way. How many times did we hear him like just, kind of begging and pleading, like, let's just go all in, man.
It's finally working.
For like 1 year. Let's go all in, right? I mean, I think he said that every single year, at least the probably last 4 or 5 years. But yeah, I think the players, you definitely think about that. If you look at, and you're saying, man, like edge rushers really aren't good, dude. Like that's the one spot that's really going to get us over this hump. Like I think that's human nature to talk about. Now you don't want to throw shade at your teammates, and you're not going to say that publicly because it's going to make your teammates feel terrible and feel like they're not good enough. But I do think there are some internal thoughts that when you look at it and you realize that you are a good enough team to have a chance to go win. Yeah, I definitely think you have some of those thoughts.
Way better bring it up on radio shows of that former team like 10 years later, TJ. Love that one so much more. Now, it is always strange for me to ask the two guys that were on the field for the Ndamukong Suh stomp about the rivalry of Lions and Packers being a little bit more intense now. TJ, you're literally the one that shoves him off of Evan Dietrich Smith, I believe, in the clip on that Thanksgiving game. This feels like it is more salt and vinegar between these two teams than there really has been in quite some time. What's that sentiment like in Detroit for the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that they consider them still their biggest rival, right? And I know that going against Minnesota a couple weeks ago, Minnesota was undefeated at the time, but you got the sense that Detroit, they went into that game with some confidence. You know what I mean? Like they were like, okay, it's Sam Darnold, right? Sam Darnold's going to start doing Sam Darnold things again, and he's been playing good. Don't get me wrong, but I think they look at this game knowing that this is the heavyweight matchup, right? And I think that Green Bay, just reading some clips of what's coming out of there, I think I heard Xavier McKinney talking about how Detroit likes to embarrass people, and they're going to take that personal, and they don't respect it. So I don't think it's crazy trash talk or anything, but yeah, I don't think it's a hatred. I don't want to say that, but I think both of these teams probably realize that these are the two big dogs, right? And as it sits right now, I mean, Detroit's the team with a little bit of hardware on their mantle from last year winning the division. So if you're Green Bay, no doubt you want to be able to send a message and make them feel that it's a new year and a new time. And if you're Detroit, I mean, you understand that Green Bay is probably going to be your biggest obstacle to getting that back. So I think the players, like, I haven't noticed anything that maybe we went through. I mean, even there was one year where Suh was stepping on the back of Aaron, and we got into it at the end of that game. There was a lot of, little of those things in there, but I haven't seen any of that from these teams the last couple of years. But I don't want to say it's a hatred. I just think they understand that, if we want to get to our goals, this is the team in this division that we're going to go through. I think it goes the same both ways. Yeah,
Fairley was always mixing it up too. I always despised that cat when he was hanging there. TJ, last thing here quickly, before we get out of here, hot topic on the show here earlier today, just before you came on, producer Armin Sarian standing up for York peppermint patties. John and I are in the camp that it's candy. It's going to be okay, but it's very much the bottom tier. What are you saying when somebody says a York peppermint patty over, like, say, a Crunch Bar?
Oh, I mean, I didn't even know those things still existed.
Oh,
Like,
come on,
that's got to be as low. If you're going to a house as a kid and somebody's passing out a York peppermint patty, like, you're going to write that address down to probably go TP.
Thank you.
A couple weeks later. You know what I mean? That's
Yep.
that's disrespectful. I don't know why anybody would do that.
I don't know.
Thank you.
That's like a candy that, like, grandmas might have in their jars that have been sitting there for 10 years when the kids come over and nobody wants to
Pretty
touch
accurate.
them.
Well, I love my
And
grandma.
maybe
All
one
right.
day you finally get hungry enough, and you're like, there's a reason why they.
Oh, come on, TJ.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
delicious piece
You're
of
like,
candy.
wait, is that what is that white? There's not supposed to be white stuff on top
And-
of this
and
chocolate.
here I was gonna tell
Figure that out.
Here I was going to tell John to text you more. You know, TJ. It just, that's all right. Well, now
That's a good
you
point.
know.
How's
If
it?
you guys
Hey,
take- if you guys take anything out of that conversation, that's it. John never replies to a text. He never calls anymore. Never
John, he
texts
wants you to
me.
know
text
what?
dare you?
You know what I'm doing? I'm starting a group text right now.
Let's
As
go.
soon as we hit the break,
Miss
it's
you,
gonna have
boys.
You, Sitton, Flynn. I don't know. Maybe I'll find somebody else that I liked on the team. I don't know if there was anybody, but we'll pull something together and figure it out.
Balaga.
That already
Come on.
exists. You're the only one that never replies in it.
Well, then maybe I'm not on it.
Maybe it's your
Maybe
phone,
I'm not.
John. Maybe it's your
Maybe I'm
phone.
not on it.
Maybe we got to scout that phone
Maybe we
out.
learned a lot out here today. TJ, how's Eastern doing? Are they bowl eligible yet?
I don't think. I think they're sitting at 4 wins. They just got they're coming off a couple bad losses. I think last couple weeks, but they got Toledo this week. I think
That should be a win.
Toledo's a powerhouse in the MAC, dude. I mean, I know we're talking MAC football, but
Damn
right.
right.
They
if
gotta
they
win
get
that.
past Toledo, they're gonna have a chance to do something good. But that's gonna be a tough ass game.
They got to get you back to knock down that brick wall if they really want to start winning some games. I think that for a Tuesday night action would be a beautiful honorary captain situation.
5-3, 5-3, fifth in the MAC. Come on
I
now.
agree with you. I already got my bowling shirt with my name on it that all coaches wear. I think that's the only thing I'm missing is a little bit of sledgehammer in my life.
We got to get the sledgehammer in TJ Lang's hands. TJ, we appreciate it, man, as always, and we'll chop it up coming up this weekend. Stay dry on the sidelines, and we'll see you Sunday at Lambeau.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Johnny, I'll see you this weekend, buddy.
Yep. Sounds good.
There he is, Super Bowl champion TJ Lang on the phone line, and remember his number. Remember his number here on the show.
Hey,
Come on,
texting
John.
him. I'm texting him right now. Where do you want to eat Saturday night? Do you want to come to my house?
I thought because you're a group chat guy. You're not Butch. You respond to the group chat.
This is
Butch never did. Butch admitted it. Butch admitted it. He doesn't like group text, you know?
Armin will shoot at anybody when they're not.
dude.
I just want you.
He only with the back of the head. Gotcha. Back of the head. Gotcha. You're looking at me. Hey, I'm good. I'm nice.
You must be I'm not going to say it. Not even going to say it. Not even going to get myself in trouble.
All right.
Not even going to get ourselves in trouble. Trade deadline 4 days away. I like that John Kuhn mentioned that trade deadline 4 days away. The only thing people are worried about Tuesday, November 5th, is the NFL trade deadline. That's what's happening on November 5th.
Only thing happening.
It's the only thing that's happening that day. We're a couple of days away. We'll go around the NFL and games that you want to have your attention on this weekend. And also, John mentioned it, the trade winds swirling in the NFL. We'll give you the latest as we continue. It's 9 to noon with Kuhn, Billy, and Armin on a Football Friday here on the game.
Let your hair down.
John Kuhn here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And I might not call back my friends, but I do enjoy a good birthday party, especially those milestone birthday parties. And you know what? Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, they love them too. And to commemorate that, Gina Della herself turning 60 this month. And to commemorate that, Pella has 0% interest for 60 months. That's 5 years, no interest financing for her birthday. But you got to hurry. This offer is only available until November the 8th. And you can get the look you want for your home with customizable windows and doors from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, because who doesn't love these features? We're talking shades between the glass, integrated roll screens, and noise reduction. And you can count on the durability of your materials because they test them. They close doors, open doors, latches, shades thousands of times to ensure they last for years to come. They also have other unique offerings that include fold-away hardware, custom colors, and ease of maintenance. You can get all that for 5 years. No interest financing if you order before November the 8th. Remember, it's Gina Della's 60th birthday. Make your way into the showroom. Tell her happy birthday and that John Kuhn sent you. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Visit PellaWI.com today.
heading into the heck of a football Friday weekend, jiving today, John Kuhn. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know
No
what, I just-
Coolio, right? Yeah, why not?
I'll rock out anytime Armin throws on a bump because Armin can spin that DJ wheel. But I'm looking at the television right now, and I got to say something for ESPN. We've
Let's do
gotten
it.
back to
Let's just do
we've
it.
gotten back to wearing suits on TV again.
We are
We
wearing
got back to-
suits. Yep.
Got back to getting rid of, Pat will come on. He'll have a muscle tee or something on later today.
Mhm.
He had Halloween costumes on yesterday. That was pretty funny. But there's 3 guys in suits on the set today: Ryan Clark, Cam Newton, and Stephen A. Smith. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know if I can wear a single one of those suits. I don't know if I can pull a single one of those suits off. But if I did, the one I could most closely pull off, and I never thought I'd say this in a million years of my life, Stephen A.
Stephen A.
Smith.
Smith. It's the most it's the most regular looking one. Of course, it's got like a tan suit. He's got the kind of off color tone like tie, but the lapels are kind of wide, but maybe those are coming back now. John, I'm not sure in tan how you'd look. as a
That's
bigger
what I'm
guy,
saying. I don't think I
gray-
could pull off one of
but
these suits.
I actually would like to see you in RCs.
Yeah, I think Ryan looks the best out of the 3. It's the
RC's
color.
always looking
Yeah,
good.
it's the color pop. I mean, the teal. That reminds me of the teal
Dan
jacket.
Orlowski, that's why he's always smelling good yesterday, too.
Ryan likes those small floral prints. It's a good contrast of the color and the pattern, but it's
Sure.
not too strong.
Yeah.
That's like a Stuart the Stuart Scott.
Do you
fit,
moonlight
man.
as a suit maker here?
Must
You're
be.
breaking down
Yeah.
lapels
Well,
and colors and
I've been following a guy on Twitter that's breaking all this stuff down, and I kind of
Who?
enjoy reading his tweets.
who?
It's called Workwear Guy. Wait, I'll find it for you. I don't know his account.
Dialed in.
Are you looking at upgrading that wardrobe there, Armin? Sir?
Well, look at him already in the quarter zip here today, John. He's
Oh, yeah.
cashing out the hoodie, going quarter zip on a Friday.
I'm
Said
not-
casual Friday. Get out of here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna wear
Nice Friday.
I'm not gonna start wearing suits to work. That'd be outlandish. I'd be look like I'm trying
Fashionable
too hard.
Friday.
But
Well, what are
why
you looking
not?
at a suit for? You got something big coming up?
Well, we do have Lena's baptism coming up Saturday. But I do have the
Ooh, here we
suit.
go.
I got the suit already for that.
Have you,
So
okay, so
Yeah.
obviously you're reusing a suit that you've already worn.
yeah, this one I have worn, but not many times. See, what happened was for the wedding at Men's Warehouse, I bought the tux instead of renting.
Look at you. Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I wear this thing twice in my life,
You hate tux rentals.
I hate tux.
one
rentals.
of the biggest things that you got a problem with.
How
in the
many
world.
times have you worn it?
I worn it exactly twice for another wedding, so I'm fine with that. It
So
paid
you
off.
wore a tux. Were you in that wedding? Were you a part of the standing party?
It was Laura's brother, so I wasn't
No.
I was in the wedding party.
Wait a second.
But
so
she told me wear the
you
tux.
wore a tux to a wedding.
She wanted me
where
to-
you weren't in the wedding party.
Well, so I just correct.
I'm
but
sorry, I find that weird.
I did too at first, but she's like, "No, I
You're
want
right.
you to do it." And she's like, "Don't wear it with the full outfit, just the
She just
jacket,
wanted you
pants,
to make
and a
feel good
regular
about
tie."
spending the money and getting the efficiency out of buying a tuxedo. Because
It's a smart woman.
buys that tuxedo. Everybody buys that tuxedo and they wear it exactly twice.
Yeah,
They wear it the one time they meant to wear it, and then they force themselves to wear it one time inappropriately
Feel
into
weird.
another setting
exactly.
just to make themselves feel like it was money well spent.
Well, sometimes you never know. Maybe one day I'll be at some sort of black tie gala event, and
Yeah.
I'll have to wear a tux. Don't think
You
it.
never know.
They
You never know.
definitely
I
invite a lot of
do. It
radio
ain't
guys to
happening.
that. Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
just wear a regular suit. So anyway, no. But my point was really quick. By buying that, I was over the Men's Warehouse threshold of how much money I spent there because I've been in so many weddings that I got like $200 of free credit.
Boom.
And
So
I
you got a
bought this
suit.
on sale. Perfect. Boom. That's how I roll.
I
with it.
had one suit. It was a nice blue one that I bought for my buddy Tyler's wedding.
Yeah.
Ripped the pants this year at the wedding.
See, that's good though. It means it
Son
was a
of
good wedding. It means it was a good wedding.
Yeah, I was letting it ride.
Hey, we'll give you a free suit. The only thing you have to do is buy this tuxedo over here on the right.
Spend
Okay, I was gonna buy. I
$4,000
was
to
gonna
get a
rent
suit.
it anyways, but I'll buy it. Okay, let me buy it.
That's me. I think it's a good deal, to be honest with you.
I just want you to admit they got you, ladies
Hey,
and gentlemen.
they got
Ladies
me.
and gentlemen,
We got him. But just think when
True.
he hosts the next Gamey Awards, right, where you won the MVP at,
Sure, I'll
you
wear
could
my
wear the
tux.
tuxedo.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And we would totally not make fun of you for it.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean it. The next time he wears that tuxedo, it's going to be in some sort of comedic fashion. It'll be a parody version
Yeah.
of wearing that. He has no
Probably.
Nobody ever has a place to wear a tuxedo after they buy the tuxedo.
Only thing that has a better chance of happening than what you just said in a comedic fashion, the next time he wears it is the last time he wears it. I would assume it'll end up being the last time he wears that bad boy.
At least I got the value out of it.
877-794-1973. It's 9 to noon on the game.
Yeah. Thank you. Far too kind. Yeah. Ready? Can I get an encore? Do you want more?
We know you want more. We know you want the picks that you need to beat to eat with the guys at Carnivore, and you better you bet that comes up in about 12 minutes from right now. Investment hour on a football Friday. We are loaded up with winners. We'll get to those coming up. First, it's John Kuhn, Billy Schmidt, Armin Sarian inside the Iron Jack Studios now through November 10th. When you buy 2 polo shirts, and Iron Jack includes a performance short sleeve t-shirt for free when you use promo code POLO, P-O-L-O, POLO. That's almost a $40 value on that free performance tee from Iron Jack. Make sure you just add that short sleeve t-shirt into your cart, automatically get marked down to free when you enter in promo code POLO at ironjack.com. That's ironjoc.com. It is a football Friday. There's a ton to discuss across the NFL landscape. A lot of good college games, Badgers and Hawkeyes coming up for the Heartland Trophy tomorrow night. That pregame coverage will start at 4:30, 2:30 with Nick Bruzewitz and Reed Magnum locally here in 97.3 The Game. But I was prepped, John, and you and I were told that there is one of our loyal nooners listening all the way from Hawaii. I do the time change. I'm not all that smart. It's like 6 in the morning there, 5 in the morning there right now.
Yeah, that's about what it is.
So
gets up early.
for Kavika to be joining us here on 9 to noon, ready to make a statement about our struggling Milwaukee Bucks, who I watched last night get their break speed off on Beale Street against the Memphis Grizzlies. The lone victory on the season, the opening night win against the 66ers when it was no Joel Embiid, no Paul George on the road, the only victory. Kavika's got a take on the Milwaukee Bucks, and he's ready to make it here on 9 to noon. Kavika, good morning. What's on your mind?
Hello?
You got us?
Kavika.
Am I live?
Yes.
You're on the air.
Hey, so I love Giannis. He's the best. He means so much for the community, and he's done everything. I'm trading Giannis right now in the prime of his career at 29 years old, going to be 30. Yes. And I'm reading some garbage right now, but I would do it for Shea and Chet Holmgren in a heartbeat. Okay. You probably got to throw in Dame too, and I would I'd get rid of them too, and that would be a great trade because they're both in their early 20s, I think.
Sure.
And then you got another 10 years with those guys. And I mean, I know I'm talking out of my butt, but
definitely that.
I don't know if Oklahoma would do that. I'd throw in Chris too.
Probably wouldn't.
So
they probably also
just keep adding all of our guys.
He would trade
Giannis, Dame, and Chris for Chet and what's that?
They're old. They're I mean.
So why would Oklahoma City want to trade for 2 old guys when they got 2 young guys that made them the number 1 overall seed last year?
Giannis is the top player in the
Then why are we trading him? Then why are we trading him? Just hear me out, Kavika.
His age.
I'm maximizing Giannis. You just said Giannis is the best. We love him for everything he's done. I love him. He's the best player in the league. So that's it for me. It's it. We're not trading him. I don't believe in just getting rid of a guy because the first 5 games haven't gone our way. Yes, the Bucks are struggling. Yes, they look old. So the 67 Packers. I don't think it's going to turn out the same. But the reality is, even if it doesn't, I'm not just trading and saying goodbye to our best, most precious natural resource besides Lake Michigan, just because it's been struggling. And Kavika, I know it's frustrating right now. I know the pain that we're in right now as Bucks fans, but I just can't do this. And I love Doug Russell. He's been a great mentor to everybody in this business. He's fantastic at what he does. Yeah. But he tweeted the same thing today. Just said, let's just do this for Giannis and let him go to a contender. No,
we owe it to him.
Come on. Maybe one day we will, and we owe Giannis a lot. But
Kavika, thanks for listening and appreciate the call.
Buddy.
Appreciate the call.
We owe it to him to try and figure our way out of this thing with him as our guy. Giannis is our guy, and I'm not just saying goodbye. I'm not just giving up on him. I'm not. I can't get to that point, especially on November 1st, Billy. And
They've played 5 games. They have played 5 games of the 82 games. Now, I never want facts to get in the way of a good story or a good narrative. John, I do struggle to think Oklahoma City would want to trade for 2 guys that are close to 30 for their 2 youngest players.
He had me for a second because this is what everybody wants to talk about right now.
Right.
We're old. Let's jump off the old ship. Let's start getting young again. Let's start rebuilding. Let's not forget a rebuild doesn't just doesn't just happen. Like you don't just say we're doing a rebuild and then everything works and you build it back up. Like you got to actually have good players. Who knew? You don't rebuild with nothing. You got to rebuild with something, right? And the Bucks took a long time from the Ray Allen rebuild to get to the Giannis Antetokounmpo rebuild, right? They that took a very long time. So I want to hear what people have to say about it. I want to hear when people say, yeah, we should trade Giannis. But I want to hear what you're trading for. And the minute he said Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren, I had to stop. And then he said, well, we probably have to throw in Dame. And I'd even give him Chris too. Well, why stop there? Just trade the damn coaches and general managers too. Can we trade the logos? How about the shoes? Like trade all of it.
Can we trade?
Look, I'm throwing stuff around the room.
Let's throw in the contract of Adrian Griffin. Right? I mean, like we could trade it like the contract of Kwame Brown. They were trading that for random assets throughout the early 2012s. I love that.
You know, yeah. Can I say this?
Can we trade it? Hey, can we trade that spot that was Punch Bowl Social and they hadn't been able to have anything inhabit for the last 3 years? That could be the Oklahoma City Thunders.
Nick and Greenfield said we need to give them a break, though. It's too early in the morning for folks in Hawaii to have a serious take, and it might be. And I love Kavika. We
love Kavika.
And he calls us all the time, and he wakes up early.
I hope one day he can come to Nooner Day. It'd be great. But I just can't get around this.
Maybe we should do Nooner Day by Kavika.
I would be a fan
Nooner
of that
Day
one.
in Maui. Let's do it.
Tim, we could easily get that done.
Yeah, why? Yeah.
They're going to Jamaica for Sunburn Bowl. Why does 9 to noon not go to Hawaii?
I think if we did that, we would definitely be cool with rooming with each other, right? We're doing roommates for that. Wouldn't you agree? We're not going to ask. I mean, if we could get all the way to Maui for a Nooner Day, I think we'd share a room to help out the costs, you know? We could
I don't know why we would volunteer that on the front end.
Because I think it's
part
worth
of the
it.
negotiation.
Can we wait for the negotiation?
Nah, it's worth it for a trip to Maui.
If we let Armin negotiate, John, everyone's going to be in Maui. We're going to be sleeping in the car. We're going to handle the negotiations.
Well, one thing I want to say, I wouldn't negotiate trademark stars. Why stars in this era? I don't know why it's different, but I know in 84, 85, 86, they weren't saying let's just trade Mulder and Yount. I know they weren't saying that in 88, 89 when things weren't always winning. I know that we weren't talking about trading Favre in 03, 04, 05. We were just getting through it and having our star.
Doing that. Yeah.
We were just having our star and enjoying that. If we're not, and I don't want to be, I'm not a Eeyore, I'm not skies falling. I believe the Bucks can figure it out and get better this year. I know they're better than this. But if we're not going to win anymore, if we're not going to be champs, if we're contenders, at least I'd like to have our greatest player ever on our team in our uniform. I would enjoy watching him and having him be a Buck.
I'm also not going to start the let's trade Giannis conversations until maybe we hear Giannis say, I'd like to get traded.
Thank you. Everybody else around is saying he's going to say it. Well, guess what? He hasn't said any of that stuff.
Sorry, Bill Ryder and 15 others have been wrong for the last decade.
Thank you.
How many times has Brian Windhorst said that he's about to get traded? I listen to Bill Simmons almost religiously. That joker has been trying to trade him out of Milwaukee for 7 years.
Since before 18.
Yeah.
We were the 8th seed, and he's like, he ain't staying.
Probably not happening.
They're an 8 seed.
Probably not happening. It's not going to work.
You know, next time I hear teams are monitoring the situation, I'm going to flip out.
You know what I'm also monitoring?
You've never done that before.
You know what I'm also monitoring?
What, Billy?
Buying a house on Green Lake.
Let's go. Yeah, monitoring it.
Not doing it, but I'm definitely monitoring it.
Yeah,
I'd definitely like to get a house on Beaver Lake. You know what? I'm gonna keep scouting it out.
I'm monitoring a 15-leg parlay in case it wins.
Monitoring it for this weekend at Potawatomi Sportsbook. Monitoring those two. You can monitor our investments. Also, you could fade or invest with those investments. Coming up on the other side, we got the picks you need to beat to eat with the guys at Carnivore, and You Better You Bet. And caller 34, I'm joking, caller 4 is going to be our contestant coming up here on You Better You Bet. Their picks in for week 9 next on the game.
Country folk, man, I'm nappy in my ways, yo. I've been broke, but it really don't matter no more.
as always, our best one of the day, best one of the week has to happen right now because it's a football Friday and it's going into the biggest game of the year. Green Bay Packers hosting the Detroit Lions. 3:25 kick, 1 o'clock pregame kick, 11 o'clock Potawatomi Sportsbook pregame with our guy Doug Russell, the Love Muscle. That starts at 11. That's an energy factory from Lambeau Field that you don't want to miss at all. But also, people are in, and listen, our nooners are smart. They already know that we need score predictions for the game coming up this weekend on
Indeed.
the NicolaLaw.com talking text line 877-794-1973 for you to be the contestant coming in next week on a wide open Wednesday text submission. You need to win, be closest to on the deviation of the correct score prediction. Gotta say, fellas, a lot more predictions for the Packers to lose on our text in score predictions. I know this isn't a surprising thing, John Kuhn, but it just when you see it on print and you see it in text, it is a little bit more surprising that there's a lot more nooners that are expecting the Packers to catch an L this weekend than there are normally.
Well, let's talk about this line. The Packers are currently plus 2.5, and honestly, if I don't know who's playing. That's what this line is so phenomenal. This line is actually perfect because I don't know who's playing. If you told me Malik Willis is starting quarterback, I'm taking the Lions minus 2.5. If you tell me Jordan Love is the quarterback, I'm taking the Packers plus 2.5. I think Jordan Love playing in this football game makes it. They might, even if they don't win, I see it being a 1-point game. I see it being that close. I see two of the best teams in the NFC. And I'm glad TJ said it because I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. I do think the Packers and Lions are the two best teams in the NFC right now. They're at least playing like the two best teams in the NFC right now. And it doesn't always fall that way where the best team gets the 1 seed and the second best team gets the 2 seed. And in fact, it can happen that way if these are the two teams because they're in the same division. So one will be a 1, one will be a 4 or a 5. And that's what makes this such a damn big game right here. This game is for a lot of marbles coming up here on Sunday. We're going to have rain. We're going to have uncertainty with injuries. We're going to have, home field advantage, hopefully. And then we have a bye. So, this is a big time ball game right before a bye. It's almost like a mini playoff game.
Yeah, totally feels like it. And it is a game that I am very, very excited for the Green Bay Packers to have Josh Jacobs in. I'll tell you that much right now.
Great Jacobs.
Now, you want to talk about a game that if you like creative versions of running the football, you like smash mouth power football, both these two teams can get after it that way. And maybe the rain lends itself to it. John, we talked about it a little bit on the look ahead of what it could be if Jordan plays or not. When the odds makers came out with this line 2 weeks ago, right? That's when the first initial look ahead lines will happen in the NFL 2 weeks out in advance. Packers were a 1.5 point favorite. So it's as close to a pick 'em. The home field advantage is a lot less in the NFL than it used to be. It's much more closer to 1.5, 2 points than the full 3 that it normally used to be. So they're looking at this game being as close as it can be to a pick 'em. Malik Willis starts. By kickoff, this thing will be Lions laying 4.5, I would assume, like you had said earlier on, because this is close to a touchdown game then in a difference, if that's the question. But 2.5, where it was 3.5 earlier this week, those folks in Vegas kind of have good intuition. Seems like they also are trending and thinking that Jordan's playing.
Don't get me wrong. I love Malik Willis and what he brings to the table, but we're not playing the Colts and we're not playing the Titans and we're not playing the Jaguars. And we are playing who many people believe is the best team in the NFC, the Detroit Lions. And because of that, there's going to be a point where we're going to have to pass. Like not just we pick when we pass. A lot of people are like, well, Malik throws such a damn nice ball. Yeah. Well, we chose when we were throwing and we picked the play and we set the play up, right? We didn't just say, hey, here's a 2-minute drill. You got to throw us down the field. That's not how it works. But there will be a spot in this ball game when he has to pass and the Lions know we have to pass. And they're going to be licking their chops thinking, okay, let's get a good pass rush here, stay in our lanes, lane integrity, cover the back end, see if we can't create a turnover or a sack or a big play. That way, most of Malik Willis's passing production has been on plays when we dictated the pass, if that makes any sense.
Yep,
First, second
totally.
down, play action,
Yep.
things to that nature.
And that's when, John, that's when you're just delivering the goods, right? We set it up. You just deliver the goods and be all good in the neighborhood. Part of that passing efficiency, some of those next gen stats that the NFL always puts out for these games. Lions defense number 2 in the NFL defensively in overall passing efficiency. Packers offense 10th, not bad at all. But just to look at why the numbers kind of dictate and put where both of these two teams are, Lions offense and overall passing efficiency 4th up against the Packers, 5th in football, rushing efficiency, Packers, run defense, overall efficiency 9th in the NFL. Lions are 5th on offense. So like they are, all of these numbers are pretty much right in the top 10, all right near the top, showcasing that these are two of unanimously right now the best teams in football. It's going to be a banger of a game on Sunday. We'll have to see if either of us have this in a pick for a potential Goons Can't Miss. More importantly, one more nooner might have this in his You Better You Bet submission for week number 9 in the NFL. Yeah, you better bet that Carnivore is Milwaukee's best steakhouse, most premier steakhouse for 15 years. Had somebody at the football feast last night. Benny and Merton was there.
Hey, Benny.
And Benny is already into the playoffs.
Let's go.
So Benny had asked, he goes, so the Carnivore dinner, it's pretty legit, huh? It's like,
Oh, wow. He's starting to
Benny?
taste it.
You don't even know yet. He is. He started to taste it a little bit, but now Benny also reminded me that his You Better You Bet submission, brother went 5 for 5. So he shut the box, felt real confident. He's like, I come
Okay.
playoff time, I might just be doing the same thing.
Okay.
So I'm trying to make sure that I'm enjoying my Carnivore dinner at Milwaukee's most premier steakhouse for over 15 years. Best cuts of steak in Milwaukee, domestic, Wagyu, international cuts. They'll throw that flag right in there, John, and their wine and spirits menu. You got to see it to believe it. Omar's Choice Wines. John's got his own steak knife at Carnivore. You're not having your own knife there if it's not one of the best meals that you're going to have. Correct? Like, is that a fair assessment? Not just throwing steak
correct.
knives around the state of Wisconsin.
No, I don't have a lot of steak knives backed
No.
up at different restaurants, and I don't carry really any with me. To be
No.
honest with you, so
That's probably a good thing.
It's the only steak knife that I have outside of my house.
If that's not an endorsement for it, I don't know what is. You're keeping that at Milwaukee's most premier steakhouse. Classic steakhouse meets modern experience at Carnivore in Milwaukee. Derek is in Whitewater. He's up on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. He is in first submission for November. Remember, everybody who played and caught a fat L in October, back in for November. Derek in Whitewater is in on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. He's in the Potawatomi Sportsbook, ready to deliver some winners. And Derek, what's your first winner?
Lions.
Taking the Detroit Lions, laying 2.5 on the road. If you like the Lions, though, John, what we had just said, if you like the Lions, this is the time to get on it if you think that Jordan Love ends up going.
He didn't even hesitate. He didn't even set it up. Didn't even build the beat. He just came right out, broke the hearts of many when he said, Lions, minus 2.5.
There he goes. All right, Derek, what's your next pick? Bears?
Yep.
Taking the Chicago Bears.
That's awesome. That's great.
Plus 1.5. Now, this line has flipped a little bit, John. Interesting one out in the desert. Bears couldn't do anything on offense. And the Cardinals just got themselves a huge come-from-behind win against the Dolphins last week.
Yeah, more on this game to come.
That's
All
what
right,
I'm
where are we
talking
going next? Vikings?
Exactly.
Got the Minnesota Vikings laying 5 on Sunday Night Football at home against the Indianapolis Colts. How about this? More on this game coming up in a minute. All right, Derek, what's your fourth pick?
How about the Broncos?
I was thinking it was going to be the Cowboys, but he's taking the Denver Broncos plus 8.5.
8.5.
This one was 8 earlier in the day, was 9 earlier in the week. It's a lot of wood to be laying against the Denver Broncos.
It's a
lot of wood to be laying against the Denver Broncos. More on that game coming up in a moment. Derek and Whitewater, final pick. Where are we headed?
The hated Patriots.
The New England Patriots plus 3.5. I got to ask, who are the Tennessee Titans to be laying 3.5? More on that coming up in a moment. All right, Derek, appreciate it. Way to be timely, efficient.
We need a
Which
lock.
of those?
Oh, sorry. You were going to jump in there.
I was going to ask him
My
which one
bad.
is his
All
lock,
right.
but why don't you ask him which one's his
Well,
lock?
which one's your lock, Derek?
The Lions, of course.
Oh, man. All right. Lock on the Lions. All right.
Hey, baby, Derek. Find out next week on Tuesday if you are into the playoffs for You Better You Bet. Appreciate you playing. That's fantastic. That is quick. That's efficient. That's Football Friday. You Better You Bet, John Kuhn. And I got to say, I don't agree with a bunch of his picks, but more on that coming up. So chomping at the bit to try to keep people away from the carnivore dinner. John, what do you got coming up here for week number 9?
I just want to say I tried really hard. I tried really, really hard on these picks. I thought.
Ooh, okay.
Thank you.
Pondered.
I like that. Yes.
Had consternation.
Big word.
This is a hard week to pick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel confident at all about a single one of my picks, but this is my
Right.
picks nonetheless. After thinking and consternating and all that
boat.
other good stuff, I started with the Broncos plus 8.5. They got themselves a great defense, and any team with a great defense getting points, I love. Don't like them being on the road. Don't like them against the Baltimore team that just lost and is pissed off. But I do like the fact that Lamar Jackson is hampered. He's got a knee and a back injury that he's dealing with, plus 8.5 points in the Broncos defense. Yeah, I feel good about that one. How about the Cardinals and the Bears? We said we'd talk about it more in a minute. I'm going to talk about it more now. Caleb Williams on the road versus Caleb Williams at home looks a little bit different. And he got unlucky this past week, but he also got lucky to get unlucky. What I mean by that, their offensive coordinator's trash. He's bad. He's really bad play caller. And DJ Moore came out this week and apologized without really apologizing. It was like an apology that you make your kid give. Go over there and say sorry to your sister. Sorry. Don't really mean it. That's what he meant. He didn't mean it. He knows their offensive coordinator's trash. And now they got to go play the Cardinals and Kyler Murray, where they're actually really good in Arizona. I'll take the Cards minus 1.5. Now I'm going to take some more wood, and I'm going to take it in the form of the Miami Dolphins plus 6 traveling to Buffalo. I don't like going against Buffalo, and I don't think that Dolphins win this football game, but I could see Tua get a little bit of his groove back this week, and I could see Tyreek Hill get a little bit of his groove back this week, and Devin Achane and Mike McDaniel, and they all need to get a little bit of their groove back as this season slipping away from them because of that Tua injury. And if there was ever going to be a last stand, it's this week, Dolphins plus 6. Now to a division and a game where nobody can adequately pick, even Vegas. Why? Well, the spread's only half a point, and it's Rams minus a half a point. And I'm going to go with those Rams minus half a point, and it's at half a point because Puka Nacua got hurt yesterday, same knee that he hurt earlier in the year, and he's probably going to miss this football game, but I don't care. Big question mark, the availability of DK Metcalf and how, if he's going to play in this football game. Did not play last week. That's a big one. That could sway things. But I like Cooper Kupp and I like Matthew Stafford figuring their stuff out with Kyron Williams. Once those two wide receivers got in the mix, now coming off a Thursday night game, I think that Kyron Williams is about to take off once again like he did last year. I like the Rams minus half a point. And then my lock is the Raiders minus 7.5 at Cincinnati. Why? Look at Cincinnati's games. Every single one of them has been close. Now they got a game that everybody thinks they should win. This is the obvious game that they come out and drop. I'm taking the Raiders plus 7.5 because the Raiders don't win a lot, but they are gritty and they're tough. And that's my lock. And that's why I don't feel great about any of my picks this week because I locked the Raiders.
The Raiders.
Well, now I don't feel good at all about it because I got Joe Burrow in the Bengals. Because I was listening to the Steve Zabin and Brian Butch experience earlier on today starring Andrew Ludwig.
Love that show.
And when they were doing their breakdown of games, Brian Butch said, Joe Burrow's got to step up. Joe Burrow's got to raise his level of performance. Right now, he's the top-rated passer in football. However,
not good enough for Butch.
Not good enough for Butch.
Yeah.
Butch said, you know what? You need to elevate the run game. How about you elevate the defense a little bit? Brian Butch calls out the Cincinnati Bengals. Bayou now in Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Not one, not two. 3 TDs for Jamar Chase this weekend. They cover the 7.5. Listen, they got beat in their all whites. You cannot come out in clean all whites, get boat raced, and not make up for it at home the next week. So I'm taking the Bengals laying the 7.5. And again, as John said, don't feel great about a lot of these picks. However, they did good to me last week. They did real good to me last week. And I said, who on earth are the Tennessee Titans to be laying 3.5? This line stinks. Taking the Patriots plus 3.5. Come Come on, Pats. Let's go. They got a big win last week. Ramondre Stevenson to glory had one of the ugliest stat lines last week. 20 carries, 48 yards, but 2 touchdowns and an octopus. And they ended up beating the New York Jets. They beat the Tennessee Titans this week. I'd take the money line, but I get 3.5 with it. I'm going to go with the LA Chargers. Again, you want to talk about a gritty football team. Bradley Bozeman almost took a player's head off last week for trying to rip
I saw that.
Justin Herbert's leg. They might do the exact same thing to the Cleveland Browns. This might be the most entertaining game of the weekend, but the Chargers only laying 1.5. I like their defense. I like their offensive line even more. I'm going to take the LA Chargers, taking the long flight to Cleveland. And thank you, Jameis Winston, for the 3 picks that he throws already in advance in that game. I'm with John on the LA Rams. I don't get it. I don't get it. Seattle is the most Jekyll and Hyde team in football. They've lost 4 of 5. However, they beat Atlanta, who I think is good, by 3 touchdowns in that one game that they win. I'm not buying it. I'm taking Kyron Williams and the LA Rams to win that game, laying the 0.5 point there. And my lock is on Sunday Night Football. They had their quarterback quit on them a week ago, John. You know who's here to not quit on them, to lead them to victory?
Oh, yes.
At US Bank. Give me Flacco and the Colts. And I can't wait to listen to the young man's Colts victory song coming up here today about how much we love our Colts. And I want to hear how they're going to kick the Vikings. And I'm excited for it. And I'm going to take the 5 points and I'm going to lock in the Indianapolis Colts going to the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football at US Bank, catching 5.
And don't forget, Billy predicted 3 touchdowns for Jamar Chase. That gets you plus 2,800 at Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Let's go.
So you can put 5 on that for 140. You can put 10 on that for to win 280.
That's
or
the math on that.
You can put 1,000 on that to win 28 racks if you're Matt Schneidman.
I was going to say, if you're a Schneidman, that would be the Schneidman bet. Throw 1,000 on that and walk away with, a down payment on a house. That's an interesting one. There you have it. Those are our winners for week 9. Those are the picks you need to beat to eat with the guys at Carnivore, Milwaukee's premier steakhouse for over 15 years. We love Carnivore. We really, really love the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We really, really love this segment that caps off with winners. But one winner that's an absolute can't miss.
The man can't miss. Time now for Coons Can't Miss, presented by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet big, bet bold.
We said earlier in the show the hot streak was broken. The hot streak was broken by a rookie deciding he didn't want to carry the ball into the end zone for his first career touchdown. I don't know who feels worse, him for missing his first career touchdown because of a boneheaded play, or me because he knocked me out of another winning week here on the Can't Miss. With that said, let's have a little bit of fun on the Can't Miss today. And if you want to partake in the Can't Miss, make your way down to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook and hit up one of the 90-plus kiosks they have on the 2nd, 3rd level, just off the Skywalk. Or make your way all the way down into the actual sportsbook itself with seating for over 200 on couches, on recliners, and high-top chairs, and an incredible bar that you can play video poker at. Every single one of those seats has the perfect view at a 2,000-square-foot LED screen. So whether you hit up a kiosk or you hit the sportsbook, it is the place to go in and take the game. All right, my streak is broken, so let's have a little bit of fun. Now, how about this little one that I found? Total yards of the shortest touchdown, including overtime. It's at 1.5.
Okay.
For the Packers Lions.
Okay,
I'm taking the over, which is plus money. This is saying
okay, got it.
They think there's going to be a 1-yard touchdown run in this game, or a 1-yard touchdown pass.
I think it's more likely
in this game. They're saying it's more likely that there's a 1-yard touchdown than not. And I'm saying no. I think the Packers and the Lions score from afar in this football game. I'm taking the over of 1.5 yards for the shortest touchdown, and that's plus 120.
That's a fun bet.
Shortest touchdown, pass or run, right? I want to make sure I'm right.
Shortest touchdown.
Shortest touchdown over 1.5 yards. How about that? It's a fun bet. You just cheer for no one to get to the 1. I love that.
I'm in on that. I'm in on that. I'm racing.
Or if they get to the 1, goal line stand. Goal line stand. Goal line stand.
Well, yeah, which is another one.
And maybe we could get one of those goal line stands And John, I want to see on the sidelines here this weekend. I know there's a lot of things that we have to see, a lot of good in between the lines. I want to see if Matt LaFleur is trying to fire up the Lambeau crowd a little bit.
Yeah, it's been
a big game. What have we been waiting for?
He was doing it in Jacksonville.
You kidding me?
No, he was doing it in Jacksonville, except he was telling them to quiet down on the last drive.
Oh, nah. Yeah, we can't have that, coach. We need this.
Well,
Oh,
the Go
what
Pack,
up? Come
they were
on.
doing Go Pack Go because we had just run the ball down to the like 4-yard line.
Right.
Oh, on the Chris
And
Book.
then we started the Go Pack Go chance, and he's like, "Stop! We still got to snap the ball. I don't want a false start or a fumbled snap." Or
Get out of here with that, coach.
Remember,
Come on.
remember when you could first do that in Madden?
What?
You could first-
crank up the crowd?
And then on the road they'd boo. That was the
Dude,
coolest
you
thing.
can do it in the new college football game.
Yeah.
Like when you're on defense and you're at home. Funniest thing is, if you're doing it, your guy has no clue what's going on. He instantly runs the wrong way if they snap that ball while he's cranking up the crowd. So you better know that my man's not calling the snap while you're sitting there saying, "Come on."
He goes
Come
all
on, we're
Tyreek.
playing Mo Bamba. It's third down. Let's get rocking.
He goes all Tyreek Stevenson.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, right.
100%.
Yeah.
Tyreek Stevenson on them all. It's 9 to noon on the game. We are not Tyreek Stevenson. It's Sing It. We're going pillar to post.
That's
You
right.
signed up for 180. We're giving it to you right here on 9 to noon. It's 9 to noon on the game. Billy Schmid, Armin Sarian inside the iHeart Megaplex, and John Coon with all of you on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. Big, huge, massive game in the Big Ten coming up tomorrow with Ohio State and Penn State. As right now inside the studio, we're enjoying watching the Pat McAfee experience as he's out there on the field, standing there with James Franklin. My man's in a cutoff hoodie there, John. Looks like he's getting absolutely burnt to a crisp, which probably will happen even more throughout the rest of the day. But this is an insane game. You knowing the Pennsylvania State, it was real frustrated from their fan base that this thing was not a night game coming up tomorrow, right? Like, that is a huge L that this thing's an 11 a.m. boom in Happy Valley coming up tomorrow.
Did not know this was 11 o'clock. This 11 o'clock. Wow.
Big noon kick.
That's a miss. That's a miss by the schedule makers.
That's a huge dub, isn't it? Like, if that's a night game,
3:30 at the worst. Yeah, absolutely. Early afternoon on that Big Ten slate or in the evening. Nonetheless, big game for the Big Ten, big game for everybody involved in the Big Ten college football playoff ramifications. But I got to say, man, Pat McAfee, he might have the greatest life. He can do whatever the hell he wants to do.
I would agree with that.
He wears whatever clothes he wants to wear. Doesn't, there's a lot of people that think, grow up, put some sleeves on, look professional. Doesn't matter. Still keep his job.
He wore a panda suit yesterday.
That was awesome.
Oh,
Travels all across the globe to call football games.
Right.
All across the globe to call football games. Went to Dublin, Ireland, got trashed in a pub the night before.
Yeah.
The night before he went on.
Right
Live on television, got trashed in a pub, started throwing up on the side. Doesn't matter. People don't care. People don't care. I'm sure there's bosses. He's got bosses, and his bosses got bosses, and they got some PC people inside that building. Are like,
and he got half those guys fired.
I can't believe we're still doing this with this guy. But every time I open my mouth, people look at me sideways because it keeps working. Now he gets to go to Happy Valley and stand there and shoot the bull with James Franklin as they point up into the upper deck of the student section. I just, what a life. What an incredible life for this guy.
It's pretty crazy, dude. And to think, like, in the midst of it, people thought he was the dumbest dude for retiring from the NFL early. Like, you could make $1 million punting footballs.
Yeah,
I remember the one. I can't remember who it was. It was a Bomani Jones or something like that. It was one of these, high and mighty broadcasters that likes to act like what we do is the most difficult labor of all time. And like, you're not going to make that kind of money in broadcasting. Well, he's made.
Most don't. Let's just say that.
Correct.
But he has. And credit to Pat because he saw the vision. Not a lot of people did, though. It was hard to imagine it could become
There's
one of
no
the biggest
chance
shows.
This was his vision. His vision was never this. His vision was to have fun with his friends and to make means to be able to do that.
But he thought it'd be successful.
Doing that.
Yeah, he thought it'd be successful.
Yeah, I don't think he ever thought he was that he was going to be pulling 10 figures. Right. In the midst of it, to think that, how dare you retire early? Like, you should punt that leg off if you can. And he's definitely parlayed it. That's for sure.
He did punt the leg off, though. I mean, his knee was in bad shape. Well, yeah, and his knee was in bad shape when he was retiring too. Like, that's what a lot of people don't know too. Like Pat was kind of like me, or I was kind of like Pat when I was in the league. But I say him like me because he was always looking for where he was going to go next and what he was going to do next, right? And he capitalized on this because he had years left, but he didn't have as many as people thought, right? He's talked many times about the way that his knee and his leg felt from punting and that, there wasn't a whole lot of time left. Could he have punted 2 years? Probably 3 years, maybe 4 would have been a stretch. And he just saw that as the opportune time to be able to jump on it and be able to capitalize. And that's what he's done. And he's capitalized in a big way. I would do half of his job for free, though.
Oh, God, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically.
The majority of the stuff he does, you do for free because he's traveling. To me, just traveling the world talking football is the greatest ever.
It's unbelievable.
Anybody else listening to Mike Heller in the background?
Mike Heller's in the background? What's Mike Heller doing in the background? Get him out of here, Mike Heller.
I think only you heard him there, John. Sorry about that. He agreed with you, though, I'm sure. Whatever it was.
It is impressive, though, like to think of how quickly you can have that kind of meteoric rise, right? Like now they grinded, they absolutely did. They put in a lot of time, they put in a lot of shows. But you mentioned it, John, of like always kind of thinking of what's next. And when we were on with TJ Lang earlier today, you made the fantastic joke of you guys were thinking about trading for players. I was just trying not to get cut. Was some of that, you think, because of that like internal fear of always potentially feeling like you could get cut, or just seeing guys struggle after they left football with it?
I was kind of a dork in the fact of I wanted to be good at football and just be good at football, and I wanted to be a good teammate, and I wanted to make my coaches happy.
Yeah,
I was
of course.
looking for affirmation, and I was trying not to get cut. Yes, I was trying not to get cut. Right. Anytime I made a mistake, I was like Armin after he didn't turn Mike down on the board, right? Like he's all upset with himself right now, and he's bothered by the fact that he didn't pitch a perfect game here today. Rarely do you pitch a perfect game, but you strive to pitch a perfect game, and that's what I was focused on all the time. But it trips me out, and it just goes to show you, you think you know, but you never do. And you just, I mean, guys in a locker room, like I know what the locker room was like for me, and I know what the locker room was like in New Orleans for me. I don't know what other people were thinking in those locker rooms. I don't know what other people's opinions are after time unless they tell me. And to sit here and hear TJ say, yeah. And I could picture him right now, him and probably sitting in the back of the offensive line room during practice, probably watching the running backs try their very best to do what they are coached to do, but it's not up to their standards of what an NFL running back should do. Well, look at us. We're out here breaking our necks, blocking these guys on defense.
Look at that hole right there. How's he missing that?
Sounds salty.
They don't even set up the hole. They don't even set it up. They got to take 2 more steps. You know what? Have you ever ran a football and looked out of a football mask before? Have you ever looked out of a helmet with a face mask on with a football in your hands and tried to run it? There's a lot of stuff going on. It's not like watching it on film. You don't just see the hole, because guess what? If you'd see the hole, you'd probably run through the damn hole.
Is this why you don't text? What's going on here, John? Is that you just being salty about what TJ said because he won?
I'm not salty.
He thought Marshawn Lynch would have been better than you at running. Is that bad? Is that so bad? I mean, I'm just asking.
I was asking him because we did hear rumors one year about trading for Marshawn Lynch, and I think it was during 2010.
That was a big.
I think it was during. Could you imagine if we'd have traded for Marshawn in 2010? Because I think that's the year
that was it.
Yep. Could you have imagined that if
I did
gotten
a
him
lot
that year?
A lot of people were talking about that.
I can't tell you how many yards he ran for on my Madden franchise when I traded for him after those rumors popped up. John.
I will say this: there was something really refreshing and really, it was like a security blanket knowing that Ted didn't like making moves. Right? You knew, you had that, and it made you want to fight for your football team. It made you want to die on the field because you knew Ted entrusted in you, and Ted entrusted in the guys around you. So you knew there was that thing. But now that I'm done, I sit back and I think, man, there's a couple years we were just one dude away, just one dude away from not being close, because we were close every year, but we were one dude away from being like not close, and not close as in ahead, way ahead of everybody else. And how cool would that have been if we'd have made that one move? If we'd have gotten Marshawn Lynch in 10,
it'd been over.
We probably would have went back a couple more times.
I mean, absolutely.
Just would have been wild.
The 2012 team would have been the one I thought that would have been impacted even better from that move.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's tough. And I also wonder how much Goody watching that, John, and being in the room has impacted the way that he's kind of pushed the accelerator a little bit more.
You know, and I've talked with Goody many times about what it was like watching Ted, and to some extent, him watching Ted was like Aaron watching Brett Favre. Got to see a lot of really good stuff that he could model his game and his craft after, and then got to see maybe a couple little tweaks here or there to Ted's game that he himself can do, because he's sitting back watching from afar, just like Aaron did with Brett. Hey, let me do what Brett does that's really good, but let me also not throw those interceptions into those tight spaces. Like it's wild, because if you can sit and wait and watch and grow watching that Hall of Famer, then you too can become a Hall of Famer that doesn't do some of the things that they probably should have done a different way or could have done a different way.
Yeah, amen.
I just hope Alex Green's not listening to the show today the way you guys are talking about him. I just hope Alex Green's not listening.
Alex Green was in Green Bay a couple of weeks ago.
I know.
I think he was at one of the last games in October.
Packers leading rusher in 12. Easy to forget because Cedric Benson got the injury. So I know.
How many yards did AG have that year?
I will look it up right now for you. 464 on 135 carries.
500-yard rusher.
That's a pretty good year.
It's not bad. Cedric was doing pretty good until he got hurt, if you remember. 5 games.
He got hurt in Indianapolis 1 week after the Fail Mary.
Man. Marshawn Lynch would have been a whole lot of fun. Can you imagine the Skittles you guys would have been eating on the sidelines? That would have been outstanding
Love
stuff.
Skittles.
Yeah, but you also like York peppermint patties, so your candy takes don't mean a whole lot. That's Armin Sarian. He's got one more thing. He's got one more thing for us coming up on the other side, and we got your score predictions for Packers and Lions on the other side. He's John Kuhn. I'm Billy Schmidt. It's 9 to noon on the game.
One man's trash. I call that getting swindled and pimped.
Going to be a bunch of drinks in the hand for a long time on Sunday. 3:25 kick at Lambeau Field. It's the Packers against the Detroit Lions with first place in the NFC North on the line. Yesterday, Jair Alexander, DNP, along with a DNP was Evan Williams, second straight day with a hamstring, and Josh Myers, DNP with a wrist. John Kuhn, I don't love that one. I don't love Josh Myers having a little bit of a wrist ding there in the middle, because if Josh Myers would be unable to go, there's a lot of moving and shaking that would go on the interior of that offensive line, where last time Myers went out, it was Elton Jenkins to go to center. Then it was Sean Ryan to go to left guard, Jordan Morgan going to right guard. That's a lot of moving and shaking for one spot.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, we'll see. I don't think he's going to miss the game.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. That's much like Evan Williams, like you said. Yeah. Now let's play musical chairs and move all the guys around. I think he'll end up playing. I don't think Evan Williams is going to play. And now I think Jordan Love is going to end up playing. The one wild card now is Jair Alexander. I don't know. That's the one that I can honestly say, I don't know. And without Evan and Jair, the defense would take a real big step back. So that's the one you got to kind of hope for now, because I do think Jordan Love's going to play.
Yeah, I'm with you on Jordan Love. The Jair one is fascinating, especially, John, because of how much work the two top receivers for the Lions this weekend are kind of going to try to do across the middle, right? St. Brown is much more of a slot guy than an outside dude, and that's no knock. He's one of the best wide receivers in football. And Sam Laporta, who hasn't necessarily gotten going this year like he did last year at the tight end spot, they're going to tack up the middle. And like, if you're going to have your two inside guys, you'd like to be able to have Jair travel and probably line up a little bit on the inside going up against St. Brown instead of just leave him over on the outside.
Absolutely. So what kind of stuff are we going to draw up for this Lions offense? Jeff Hafley's going to have to get in his bag.
I better believe it.
He's going to have to get home, going to have to get to Jared Goff. And yet, with it raining, might actually turn into a running football game, and they have two really dynamic running backs. That's why picking this football game is so darn hard right now. I like the Packers' chances a lot better with Jordan Love, but unfortunately for me, I'm going to have to pick the Lions this week just because of the question marks on the defensive side of the ball as well. I'm going to go Lions 31, Packers 24.
So I said on the Football Feast last night, 19-16 Packers. I think it's a low-scoring game. The over-under is at 47.5. I think this thing has the makings of 23-20, 24-20, 19-16. Both teams a little ineffective in the red zone, but both of these two teams, John, you mentioned it with Detroit. One of the reasons why I think it's slower and less scoring than it. Both teams are going to run the heck out of the football. Yeah. And that is a power running attack with the Detroit Lions as well. I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to stick with my pick last night. I'm going 19-16. Packers win. Billy. They got to bully the ball on the ground, hold in the red zone, and force a couple of Jared Goff turnovers, Armin.
I hate to do this because I hate picking against my team, but I got to go Lions 27-23. They just look so good right now. Their offensive efficiency is just ridiculous. I hope we can overcome it. I hope we can upset them. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going 27-23 Lions. Unfortunately, the Packers, I think, will be 6-3 heading into the bye.
I can't wait for you to clip that in the midst of your victorious Monday montage to make fun of you picking against the Packers.
I would love to do that.
When was the last time Armin picked against the Packers, John, on this show?
It's been a minute.
It's been a long time. I can't remember it.
I think it was 49ers playoff game last year. Did I do that? I don't
remember you picking against the Packers against the Niners.
Maybe I didn't. I feel like I do it sometimes. I try to be as fair as possible.
It's a doo-doo.
I did say that, yeah. I try to be as fair as possible with it, but I want my team to win all the time, but I know they're not gonna. So it's just the way it is. You take the loss and move on. But hopefully this is a dub.
Definitely not going to win all the time with that attitude. What we do at this point in time, though, is we hand it off to that guy, Armin Sarian, for just one last thing, one more thing. Presented by Best Electric.
Yeah, just one thing. If it's one thing or it's everything, contact my friends at Best Electric at bestelect.com. Nate and Bruce there can do everything you need for your home electrical needs. If you need to screw a light bulb in, I'm sure they'd come do it. And if you need your whole house rewired, they'll do the same thing. Best Electric.
I wouldn't advertise that.
Bestelect.com. All right, guys. There's been a lot of great takes today on the NickLayLaw.com talking text line. As you guys know, a lot of people ripping on me for my York Peppermint Patties take. A lot of funny
it's a bad
texts.
take. It's a bad take.
But instead of trying to fit in all these and leaving anybody out, I want to do this. I want to pay respect to the late, great Mike Leach, rest in peace, who don't ever forget his timeless advice years ago, guys. He was ahead of his time when we were all in the candy dark.
Awesome. So does Happy Place M. He's on it.
All right, Nerds Clusters.
Man,
Joy! With that, he did. So my respect to Mike
Coach.
Leach, who is a great coaching visionary, offensive mind, but also a candy visionary. He was, while we were in the dark ages about Nerd Clusters, he was
on it.
Now he did have the Almond Joy thing, so I'm gonna. Hey, you know what? That's fine. That's him. That he was an enigma. Why he knew so much about Nerds Clusters, but still loved Almond Joys is a classic. But that's okay. I guess I'll take the L and the Almond Joy if Mike Leach says so.
You know, I don't have to go any further than my wife to have a connoisseur give me advice about candy. The Nerds Clusters made an early entry into the Kuhn household when upon their creation. And the other thing now are the fruit ropes. Have you had a fruit rope?
Better believe it.
Like a Nerds rope or a Mamba rope? Mamba
the white
straw?
stuff inside of it, I am convinced is crack cocaine.
Mhm.
Because
Yep.
it gets you a little giddy and it's hard to shake once you get on it.
It's amazing. It is amazing. Hey, listen, we all have our flaws, and I'm going to give Almond Joys a run after Coach Leach fired that one up. That's a fantastic Friday show. I don't know how we get better. I do know how we get better with a Victory Chicken Monday into a bye week. Well, win or lose, we'll be here with all of you on the NickLayLaw.com talking text line. John Kuhn, stay dry. All right? Stay dry out there on Sunday. We're counting on you. We're all counting on you. And Armin Sarian, make sure that audio is pristine all week long.
Gonna
No
do my
drops,
best.
no hiccups, no echoes.
I'll try my
And we'll
best.
try to bring it home on Packers OT with myself and Drew Olson on the Packers Radio Network and Badgers postgame tomorrow as they take on the Hawkeyes. 6:30 kick, 4:30 pregame with the guy that's coming up next. Mike Heller will hand it off to him, and we'll try to be better on a Victory Chicken Monday after the Packers and Lions. It's been 9 to noon on the game.